Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call to order the closed session meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Mr. Domer, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Lau.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Kashyap.
I'm here, sir.
Mayor Hepburn.
Here.
And Councilmember Crosby will be
No
joining
leaks.
us a little bit late.
The City Council will meet in closed session for the following. Assistant City Attorney Sy will please read the closed session items for the record and let us know if there will be any report out afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Negotiators, city manager, assistant city manager, and city attorney. Employee organizations, Laverne City Employees Association, Laverne Firefighters Association, Laverne Fire Middle Management Association, Laverne Police Officers Association, Laverne Police Middle Management Association, and all unrepresented employees. You also have public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, title City Manager, and there's no anticipated report out tonight.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any comments?
No.
Thank you, Council. Are there any public comments on this matter? We'll open up public comment. Seeing none, we see nothing on the screen. We'll close public comment. Thank you. At this time, we'll recess at 5:32 p.m. and reconvene at 6:30 p.m. for our regular City Council meeting. Got real quiet, didn't it? Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're going to start the meeting off at 6:37 p.m. on Tuesday, January 20th. Mr. Domer, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Crosby.
Present.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Lau.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Kashyap.
Here.
And Mayor Hepburn.
Present. We did have a closed session, and nothing to report. Attorney Sy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, members of the audience, direction was given to staff and no reportable action was taken.
Very good. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that per the city's rules for decorum, all speakers, members of the audience, and council members are to conduct themselves with decorum and not to engage in conduct that interrupts the orderly conduct of the city council meeting. Also, public comment through Zoom may be accepted for the agenda items listed within the consent calendar. Public hearing and discussion calendar sections of the agenda. General public comments will be accepted at the meeting by those physically in attendance at the appropriate time. Tonight, we are very pleased to have U.S. Army Sergeant Veteran Carl Bauer to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh. Carl, if you could please come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like everybody to put their hand over their heart when we do the pledge. And begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you could stay there, sir, please.
Come on,
You know, where there's every good, we say in the Army, behind every good officer is a great non-commissioned officer, an NCO like yourself. That's what we say. I wanted to take this time, as I always do, to acknowledge and respect those that have served our great nation, those that are still serving, and those that are POW and MIA. We look forward to you coming home soon. In front of me today is an amazing human being, great man, service member, fellow Army brother, and I would like to take this time for him to share his story. We all have a story, and I know Sergeant Bauer is a great one. Sergeant?
I was drafted in 1966, went to basic training in Fort Bliss, Texas, being young and 18 years old. Fort Bliss, oh my God, it's going to be flowers and trees, and I get there and it's a desert and horrible. Anyway, and we had meningitis, and the machine guns where the hospital in the company area was facing out, not into the patient. To keep us out. Why would we? Yeah. Anyway, I served Vietnam. I was in Vietnam 18 months. I became sergeant. I was always a can-do sergeant, and I survived my 18 months in Vietnam. And unfortunately now, Vietnam is catching up to me, and I'm falling apart piece by piece by piece. But anyway, thank you all for being here, and thank you, my brother Cash. I've known Cash since he was in diapers. Well,
What, last week?
wait a minute, yeah. Anyway, no, we go back a long ways. Anyway, thanks all again, and have a good evening, and Happy New Year to all.
God bless you, Sergeant. God bless your service to our great nation. City of Laverne, certificate of recognition presented to Carl Bauer. The certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council to Army Sergeant Carl Bauer with sincere gratitude and appreciation for your dedicated service to our country. God bless you, Sergeant, and your family. Okay. Can we get Damien High School's finest and their coaches and their family who are waiting outside eagerly to come on inside? Come on in, everybody. Don't be shy. You don't have to be shy here. Oh, here we go. All right. Look at this. Why don't you guys? What's up, Big Mike? Still working out, I see. I love you. Please. All right, Kiki. All right. What's up, Dallas? Look at this guy. The best goalie out there. What's going on, young one? All right. Look at these studs. Future military officer right here. Chang. You guys in it? All right. Let me just. Okay, I'm kind of back here. I'm just going to squeeze on in here. What's up, Landon? There you go. All right, we got everybody. Got the coaches. Where's Jesse at? There he is. All right, Coach Rob. Got the whole team. Family, welcome. Come on through. Okay. Tonight, we have a great opportunity here to recognize Damien High School. If you're familiar with Damien High School, it's in the city of Laverne, and it's a great place to have these amazing young men of leadership and faith. Recognition tonight is Damien High School water polo team who placed second in Palomares League with an overall record of 23-12. The team advanced to the CIF playoffs where they had the number 8 seed, and after 4 rounds of play and a goal differential of 68-49, the team advanced to the championship game against the number 2 overall seed, Temecula Valley High School, where they won the Division III CIF Division Championship with the score of 10-9. With a league runner-up finish, a Division II finals appearance, and a berth in the CIF state tournament, the 2025 Spartans set a high standard and built strong momentum for the program's future. The team was coached by Rob Echeverria over there and Jesse Johnson right here. With the coaches, please come forward. Coach. All right. We have the list of names here for these amazing men that are here today. And, Coach, we'll have you present their names. We'll give it to you. How's that sound? Look at these studs. Nobody take off their shirts today, showing off that. Okay, here we go.
All right, Darren Chang.
Darren Chang, come on through.
Brennan Dallas.
The people in the
Brennan Dallas.
All right, Brent. That's the best goalie right there.
Liam Farrar.
Liam Farrar. There you go.
Landon Garcia.
Landon, a.k.a. Little. Look at him.
Kiki Gore.
Kiki. Look at him.
Jonathan Jimenez.
John Jimenez. All right.
Oh. Aaron Kashafagita.
What? Hey, let me get his In-N-Out gift card so I could tax him now. Yeah, just a good-looking stud.
Zach Montoya.
Zach, where's that good-looking guy?
Ralph Munoz.
Ralphie. All right, Ralph. There you go.
Maddox Redford.
Where's Mad Dog at? There he is.
Luke Rudy.
Luke.
Diego Solis.
All right.
Jorge Solis.
All right. One more time.
Zachariah Virgil Murphy.
Where's Zach at? There he is. Good job. Good job. Okay, well, at this time, I'd like to have the family, so we could take, let's get our photos here first, and then we'll have the families take a picture. All right. It's all really good-looking kids. All right, where are the parents at? There you go. All right. Happy birthday, Tina. Ladies and gentlemen, Damien High School water polo team. Good job. Now everybody get to In-N-Out and get you a hamburger. Don't forget your coaches. Thank you, I will. Tell you happy birthday.
Okay, now we will recognize and honor all who assisted with the Christmas morning event. The Christmas morning event requires detailed coordination from city staff across numerous departments, selfless volunteers from the community to ensure that Santa greets every resident on Christmas morning. Now one of the Christmas morning coordinators will introduce the volunteers. Andrea, you have the mic. Congratulations, all of you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to our Christmas morning volunteers, both members of the community and city staff. This event's been a long-standing tradition in the community, and these dedicated individuals came bright and early on Christmas morning down to our city yard around 6 o'clock to drive around Laverne and bring Christmas cheer to everyone. Can you hear me, Danita? I'm sorry. I'll be closer. This year's event was especially unique with the rain forecast that we had before the event. There were some last-minute changes and hiccups. Hopefully we see you next year, Sherry, joining the event. But at the last minute, the weather cleared, and we had great weather, and we were so happy to be able to drive around the city and bring Christmas cheer to everyone. So at this time, I'm going to call everyone up by route. We're going to start with Route 1. That was the Beaumont family here. I don't see them in here, as well as Don Johnson and our Santa, Robert Perez. Okay. Oh, that's Robert Perez. All right. We will do Route 2, which was Deborah Fritz from the city manager's office. Lizette Murrow from the city manager's office. Kevin Millard from Public Works. And Santa was Tony Mora and his son Gabriel. You want to go ahead? Oh, sorry. Gabriel, did you want to come up?
Come on.
Oh. There we go. On round 2. Sorry, we have. Yeah, go ahead and stay up here. We're going to do a group photo at the end, so go ahead and stay up here. All right. Now, Route 3, which was Tony Guerrero from Public Works, Joey Verdugo from Parks and Rec, Lucas Sabo from the Fire Department, and then Councilmember Rick Crosby was our Santa. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, let me stand to the side. All right. And Route 4 was Danny Reyes from Parks and Rec. Ron D'Alessandro from Community Development, Scott Dilly from Sanders Towing, and our Santa was Barry Brandler. Oh. All right, and Route 5 was Devin Lopez from Public Works, Thomas Lozano from IT, and the Santa team, John Malarkey and Kate. All right. So our last and final route was Route 6. We have Miguel Crespo from Public Works. We have Connor Owens from Public Works, Zach Ham from the Fire Department, and our Santa, Jeff Gary.
Yeah. You know, this certificates don't do it justice for the amount of people that help with this. Without this, this wouldn't have happened. I know we've made some changes. We're still adjusting and still kind of getting into our new shoes with making sure that every single person and every kid in the town get to see Santa. But without these volunteers, this would not happen. And this is their day. This is Christmas Day. You know, it's a wonderful day. I was able to go on half the route with Mayor Pro Tem Mesh Kashfagita, and everybody was there at 6 o'clock, ready to go, putting their Santa uniforms on. Thank goodness the weather was perfect. I mean, it was really a beautiful day. But again, without people that volunteer their time, we would not be the city we're in, and which is probably one of the finest, if not the finest city in the whole state of California, if not in the whole United States. And the reason is because of people like this. So a great round of applause. Couldn't do it without you guys. It was a wonderful day, and thank you again, all of you. And also, it wouldn't happen without our staff, Andrea, and all the people that did this with our staff. It would not happen because there's a lot of coordination, our police department, the routes, you name it, Parks and Recreation. It doesn't matter. Every single department in our city was involved with this, and those individuals that were there, a round of applause for the people behind the scenes that made this happen. Thank you all. Happy New Year to everybody, and we'll be doing this in a few more months, right? Oh, wait. Thank you very much, everybody. Now you get a picture.
Well, if you follow me, that means I'm paying for you again. Behind me.
Our final presentation tonight is a Martin Luther King Day proclamation. We honor the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, a transformative leader whose courage, compassion, and moral clarity reshaped our nation and moved us closer to justice. Will the members of the CASI committee please come forward?
This proclamation reads, wait for everybody to hear. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a modern American hero whose courageous leadership united people of all races, backgrounds, and beliefs to confront injustice, and whose unwavering faith in love, compassion, and equality continues to inspire communities across the nation. And whereas, through his steadfast commitment to nonviolent action during the civil rights movement, Dr. King challenged systemic racism and injustice, demonstrating the power of peaceful resistance to bring about meaningful social change. And whereas Dr. King's leadership included advancing voter registration efforts to expand democratic participation and leading the historic 1963 March on Washington, where he delivered his enduring I Have a Dream speech to more than 250,000 people. And whereas, in recognition of his profound influence and moral leadership, Dr. King was named Time Magazine's Man of the Year in 1963 and became a global symbol of justice, equality, and hope. And whereas Dr. King's legacy reminds us that the strength of our democracy depends upon our shared commitment to fairness, dignity, and mutual respect, and that, as he has said, the ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in moments of convenience and comfort, but where they stand at times of challenge and controversy. And whereas the City of Laverne values community connection, education, and compassion, and recognizes the work of the Cultural Awareness and Social Inclusion Committee to promote diversity, celebrate cultural identities, and foster inclusive dialogue to ensure that all who live, work, and visit Laverne feel valued, safe, and welcome. Now be proclaimed by the City of Laverne that January 19th be recognized as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day and calls upon the Laverne community to honor Dr. King's legacy by engaging in acts of service, reflection, and advocacy that advance equity, strengthen community bonds, and uphold the principles of justice and inclusion for all. Dated this 20th day of January, 2026.
This is great. Thank you all, and I want you to know how much Cassie has come together in this city, bringing together ideas, conversation, even those that conflict with one another, even when we don't agree with one another. Cassie is the issue, and to come up with ways of better. I was growing up as a little boy. Believe it or not. I was a little boy. When I was growing up as a little boy, I used to watch my father go to Northrop and be ignored by his co-workers. Only black at Northrop at that time. He had to eat lunch all by himself. And this was something that stuck with him. But you know what? He wasn't bitter. And he told me, son, one day it's going to be a better place. And in 1965, we had the Watts riots. I was living in Compton, California at the time. We had the National Guard riding up and down the streets. Buildings were burning. I said, what is going on? Son, don't worry about what the world's going to. And then Martin Luther King came, and things they were kind of dynamic at the moment. A lot of was going on. People didn't understand what was doing. And as you recall, some people called him a communist. People called him a rabble-rouser, troublemaker. Then I got to meet John Lewis. John Lewis took me in his office. You know what? You're going to get in trouble with rights and the justice of it, and get in good trouble. And that's what I did. And we watched fire hose, fire bombs, churches burned, and all that went on. That's why it's so important for us to remember our history so that we won't repeat. And so I want to say that proclamation means so much to us. Laverne's a beautiful town. Raised my family here. My boys went to Demon High School. Grandsons went to Bonita. And so we just love the city. We've been here for years now. I want you to know that Laverne is just my heart. Share it without this nation. So thank you so much for talking. Cassie thanks you. Members of Cassie are there for you. And we invite you to our Cassie meetings the first Tuesday of every month, and come and join us and have a good time. Thank you so much. Oh, the location of the meetings are at Hillcrest in the Citrus Room at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. So please join. Thank you so much. Thank you all, Mayor, everybody. Thank you.
Now we move on to announcements of upcoming community events. I'd like to call up name. Got a couple here. Sherry Best. Should have just left you up here, Sherry.
I'm back. All right. On behalf of the Laverne Historical Society, I would like to announce an upcoming event that we are co-sponsoring with the Covina Valley Historical Society. This Saturday from 11 to 3 p.m., we will partner with the Covina Valley Historical Society to conduct a tour and tea at the Covina Heritage House Museum at 300 North Valencia in Covina, at Covina Park. The Heritage House that's located on the grounds of the park is a 1908 craftsman that was originally owned by William Wallace Nash, Covina's first pharmacist. Participants and attendees will receive a docent-led tour of the house, followed by tea, and this is a real British cream tea. I'm going to make Devonshire cream and scones. And we'll have tea and treats on the adjacent lawn. The cost is $10 and will be used to support activities of both societies. I have a flyer for everybody at the City Council, if you'll pass these around. And I've put more flyers on the table. Touring the historic home is a great way to investigate a city's history. So join us in learning a little history about our neighbor, Covina. January is the start of our yearly membership drive. If you're a current member, renew now. If you're thinking about becoming a member, do so. We're not changing our fee structure. Everything else, the price is going up. Not us. We're staying the same. We're going to remain $20 for individual membership, $25 for a family membership, and $200 for a lifetime membership. And the pleasure of knowing that you're supporting the life of a 50-plus-year-old nonprofit organization. Finally, there is a new game in town. I urge all Laverne residents to check out the Laverne Daily News, a twice-weekly online newsletter that reports on local events and issues of interest in the city. Use your search engine, type in Laverne Daily News, and you can subscribe for free, but you'll get more information with a modest monthly donation. So worth it. Their statement is, a local newspaper you can trust because we live here too. If you miss the San Dimas Laverne Community News, and I certainly do, you'll be happy to have this new source of local news. Thank you.
What about jams?
Oh, we have them.
What kind?
Let's see. I just finished making 5 flats of lemon marmalade from our lemon tree in the backyard. We have lemon marmalade. We have pomegranate jelly, pomegranate syrup, peach jam, peach mango jam. We're out of apple, but the peaches will be coming on soon, and hopefully this year we'll be picking more plums, and we're out of our awesome apricot. But it will be there for you in the spring. So
5 and 10. Is it 5 and 10? 5 for small,
5 for the
large?
taster, 10 for the larger size, and you can buy them from me. You can buy them. Actually, you will make a donation in order to get your jam. That way you don't pay sales tax and we don't pay sales tax. So there you go. That's how that works. Anyhow, come talk to me if you're interested in our jam and jelly, and have a lovely new year. Thank you.
Sherry. Appreciate it. Andrea Blockinger, our boss.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, and staff and residents. Just a few updates for you guys of how to get involved and provide your comments on ongoing happenings in the city. Over the past year, the fire department has led a comprehensive effort to update the city's local hazard mitigation plan. This process has included numerous meetings and outreach events, and we're at the point where we have a draft plan. We're posting it some point this week, and there's going to be a 2-week public review and comment period. It's going to be on the city website at laverneca.gov/LHMP. So we recommend you all look at it, review it, provide your comments, because it helps shape the final plan. All right, the other one is also the community survey. This helps guide our strategic planning process. It's been out and available for resident comments for the last few months. It is closing at the end of the month, so please visit laverneca.gov/survey to provide your comments on the community survey as well. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Adrian Romero, our librarian. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. Tonight I'd like to introduce a few events that will be taking place at Laverne Library. Beginning January 30th, the library will start our 6 sessions of Smart Start Storytime that will take place on Fridays at 11. These sessions are for toddlers ages 2 to 5, where they can enjoy books, songs, and rhymes while learning school readiness skills. Attendance is limited for these events, and advance registration is required, which can be done in person or on our website at lacountylibrary.org. And the month of February is National Library Lovers Month. During this month, a person can visit the library and tell library staff which book made them fall in love with the library, and they will receive their own stress ball while supplies last. This promotion is open to all ages. And in February, to celebrate African American and Black History Month, we'll hold a program on February 18th where kids ages 6 to 12 can recreate inventions created by African American inventors and learn during this art activity the contributions made by these men and women. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Happy New Year. Anybody else have any announcements? Danita. Ms. Beauchamp. Noonie. Danita.
Good evening, Mayor, Per Tem, and Council. It's been a while since I've been up here. Happy New Year to all of you. I wanted to remind the residents that on Saturday, February 7th, is the strategic planning meeting that's going to be held in this room at 9 a.m. Last year, there were 2 people that showed up in the entire city other than the staff that were required to be there. So this is your opportunity to hear the ideas that they are coming up with, that they want to propose to the city, the opportunity to provide your own feedback and really kind of get to know some of the department heads and understand what it is that they're really in charge of. I found it extremely insightful. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the entire meeting. I didn't know it was an all-day thing. I left to go umpire baseball. But it's worth a Saturday. It is absolutely worth it, because then that way you can't come back and say, well, I didn't know about this or I never heard about that. This is very comprehensive. So please mark that in your calendar, Saturday, February 7th, 9 a.m. here at City Hall.
Thanks, Danita. Anyone else wish to speak on any upcoming announcements? Matt, come on up. Chamber of Commerce.
Hello, Council. My name is Matthew Duran. I'm the Executive Director for the Laverne Chamber Chamber of Commerce. We have 2 events coming up within the next 2 months. We have State of the City, which will be February 18th at the University of Laverne's Abraham Campus Center at 2000 2nd Street in Laverne. Please register ahead of time. That way we can kind of know where we're at on coffee and snacks. With that as well, we have our annual Toast of the Town, which will be held at the Metropolitan in Pomona, March 4th at 5 p.m. at 2896 Metropolitan Place in Pomona. That is it.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Crosby.
At the end of your agenda has upcoming events. There is a wrong date on that. That's why I want to make sure it's told. On Tuesday, January 27th, is the Youth and Family Action Committee, not today, the 21st. So just want to mark that. It's next Tuesday on the 27th.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby. Anybody else wish to speak on any upcoming announcements? I'm going to just do a couple things real quick. We'll be putting out, I'll be doing a minute with the mayor, with the police department, also the fire department. Twofold items here. Smoke detectors. We had a smoke situation in one of our homes in our neighborhood. Not one smoke alarm went off, and the whole house was full of smoke. It wasn't bad. We were able to clear it out. Fire department came and did a great job clearing everything out, but it's time to check your smoke detectors. Right now, whether you get a 10-year battery one or you get the electric ones, the Kidda is the best. The fire department carries those with them. They gave one to the resident, which was great. They have a 10-year life on those, or the electrical ones. Their voice actually have a voice that tells you basically fire, get out of the house, plus with an audible alarm. We can do everything we can exterior for fireproofing and fire-wise, but if your smoke detectors don't work in the house, you could die. I think it's really important. We'll be putting that out with the fire department. They've got some stuff in their information. Another one is I talked to Chief Gonzalez, Police Chief Gonzalez. Scams are going out again right now. New year. I'm getting residents calling me saying they're getting phone calls that we need money. Your loved one is in the hospital or your loved one's in jail. They need this money. You need to, call. We're going to come and pick up money and things like that. So I'll be working with Chief Gonzalez to put something out and get the information for the police department. So just to be aware that, these are very serious situations, especially with the fire. We're going into fire season, which we never go out of fire season anymore. And with scams, they just get worse and worse and worse. So just be prepared. And mostly our senior population, I'll include myself in there. I'm a senior now. I have been for a while. But if it sounds crazy, it looks crazy, it is crazy. Call the police department immediately if you have any situation like that, just to say, hey, I got a problem, what's going on here? So, and with that, any other announcements from council? Okay, very good. We're going to move on to our consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the city council or a member of the audience requests separate discussion or just wants to make a statement on one of the items. Council, are there any requests to pull any items? No? Mr. Delmer?
There were no items pulled, sir.
Just before we go to a motion, you look at these consent calendars and there's 6 items on here. This represents a tremendous amount of work from staff, our city, the city council also. One of the big ones is the annual comprehensive financial report of fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. That one requires our finance department and all of our staff to work with an outside agency to look at our finances. And last year they received an award. This year, more than likely, they'll probably receive an award too. But it takes a lot of work. It takes collaboration with the CPA and the firm that does it, and they've done a wonderful job. All these other ones, contracts with playground equipment, salary chart part-time employees, adoption ordinance pertaining to regularly unmanned aircraft drones. It's just these things take a lot of time and a lot of staff time. And I just want to thank staff also who all participated in these. And one of the special ones is obviously the comprehensive financial report. Without a great finance director and all of our teams working with our finance director, this wouldn't happen. And it's a great honor. So with that, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve all consent items.
Second?
Second.
Vote, please.
Motion to approve the consent calendar by Cashel Fagita, seconded by Lau. Approve 5-0.
Very good. Thank you. Now we move on to public hearings. First is the adoption ordinance adopting the 2026 Los Angeles County Building Code, 2025 Fire Code, and the Green Building Code by reference. I'd like to open the public hearing and ask the city manager to call for Cody Howling. How are you, sir?
Cody. Doing well. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Yes, so if it feels like we've been here and done this before, it's because we have. We initiated this process.
We weren't just having 15th. Deja vu?
No, sir. So just a quick recount back of December 15th. At that meeting, a urgency ordinance was adopted, and that put the City of Laverne into compliance with the building code requirements to have that all in place by January 1 of 2026. Also that evening, we initiated or conducted what was the first reading of the typical process that would involve 2 readings, and then thereby put the ordinance into effect 30 days after that second reading. Being that this is a code adoption, we actually have to have it will be another public hearing officially tonight. And I'll read through the recommendation. If council has any questions, I'd be happy to field those. So the recommendation this evening is that the City Council adopt the attached ordinance adopting Title 26 Building Code of Los Angeles County Code, Title 27 Electric Code of the Los Angeles County Code, Title 28 the Plumbing Code of the Los Angeles Code, Title 29 the Mechanical Code of the Los Angeles County Code, Title 30 the Residential Code of the Los Angeles County Code, Title 24 Part 9 California Fire Code, including appendices chapters 4, B, C, D, and I. Title 24, Part 7 of the Wildland Urban Interface Code, which includes the appendices chapters A, B, C, D, F, G, H, and I. And Title 24, Part 11, the California Green Building Code, and the City of Laverne amendments to those portions of these codes, also known as the 2025 California Building Standard Code. by reference with certain changes and modifications and making revisions there too. Just as a quick reminder to the council, the county code adoption process was adopted back in November 25 of 2025, thereby setting this process kind of, frankly, late. So that's where the urgency ordinance came in, and this would be kind of the final step in the procedure to cauterize all of that. So with that concludes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Cody. Any questions for Cody? With that, we'll open up public hearing. Any public comment on this item? Ms. Beauchamp.
It wouldn't be me if I didn't have questions for you, Cody. Title 24, Part 11, the Green Building Code, what specifically does that entail? Are we talking about homes that are built requiring electric stove and electric dryers and not having gas and central heating? Because I know that was like a big deal that AQMD was trying to push sometime last year. Or are we talking about more like solar panels and things of that nature?
Thank you, Danita. Do we have any other public comment? We'll go ahead and green paint. We'll close public comment. If you could answer Ms. Beauchamp's.
Sure, no problem. So the California Green Building Code puts together a lot of those standard requirements for energy efficiency, whether it's materials, appliances, so on. So, Ms. Beauchamp, if you have questions specific, I might be able to better field those. The code is quite large. One thing I would highlight is that the City of Laverne is adopting tonight the California Green Building Code without the County of Los Angeles amendment. So we are taking the minimum required approach in that code for the state to be compliant. So,
thank you, Cody.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any other questions for staff, council? With that, I'll take a motion.
Motion approved. Item 7, adopting the county building fire code, building code, reference exemption. The California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 10561B3.
Second.
See what I'm saying?
Vote, please.
Time for everything.
Like.
First time for it. It took me 3 years.
Item 7 was motioned by Cashel Vaquita, seconded by Crosby, and approved 5-0.
Oh, turn it off. Okay. Thank you very much. The second public hearing is the Community Development Block Grant Program for 2026-27. I'd like to open the public hearing and ask the city manager to call forward the staff member who will be reporting on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to bring up Valerie Chin from our Community Development Department.
Good evening, Valerie. Welcome.
All right. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Tonight I'll be presenting the Community Development Block Grant Program for 2026 to 2027. Okay. For fiscal year 2026 to 2027, the City of Laverne is eligible to receive $137,721 in Community Development Block Grant funds, which I will be referring to as CDBG from here on out. The recommendation for approval is made after consideration of the federal allocation requirements and the desire to continue the existing public service program, given the estimated 2026 to 2027 CDBG allocations. So there's going to be a total of $117,063 towards sidewalk improvements, and 15% of the total funds, which will be $20,658 towards the senior hot lunch program, which combines to give us a total of $137,721. Public service programs, according to a Community Development Commission regulation, may not exceed 15% of the yearly grant, which is $20,658. And each program must be funded a minimum of $10,000. The Senior Hot Lunch Program has been operating successfully with CDBG funds for over 20 years now. Staff is recommending that the CDBG be awarded to the Senior Hot Lunch Program for the full 15%, by funding the full amount of $20,658 to the senior lunch program. As identified in previous years, due to expanding regulatory criteria, it is difficult for Laverne to find programs that will be deemed eligible due to us not meeting the national objective of assisting low/moderate income persons. One main challenge is the fact that there is no longer census blocks within the city that qualify as 51% low/moderate income persons. And this finding prohibits creating any programs that would qualify as having an area-wide benefit within the community, such as park improvements, street or alley improvements, and public facility improvements. However, there are low-income presumptions within the regulations for seniors and persons with disabilities. As such, public facilities and improvements benefiting such presumed individuals are an eligible activity, as restricting barriers would be removed. Okay, so accordingly, one of the most effective uses of CDBG funding is to remove barriers and improve access to persons with disabilities in the form of curb ramps and sidewalk improvements as proposed. So the following are proposed for City Council consideration. The Public Service Program, which is the Senior Hot Lunch Program. This year, staff recommends that the Senior Hot Lunch Program, which has been funded for the past 20 years, be continued and funded a total of $20,658. Staff cannot recommend funding or the creation of any additional new public service programs due to the limited funds available. Based on the current year allocation, the maximum amount that can be used to public service programs is $20,658. The next proposed for City Council consideration are sidewalk improvements. Historically, the City Council has allocated CDBG funding for the sidewalk repair program that would provide for the removal of architectural barriers on damaged sidewalks for various locations throughout the city. Staff is recommending that the City Council approve the allocation of $117,063 towards this project for this fiscal year. This public hearing has been publicly noticed per federal regulations. And with that, we are recommending that the City Council approve a resolution titled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laverne, California, approving participation in the Community Development Block Grant Program and selecting certain projects for funding in the fiscal year 2026 to 2027. And that's all. I am available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions for staff? Mr. Crosby.
Yeah, I have a question. It's okay. The grant stated that it can be used for people with disabilities. I know we have one park that we have a playground for children with disabilities, but we only have that at one park. Could some of these funds, if we deemed in the future, in future years, of improving park access to other parks as well?
Technically, yes, but we would have to income qualify everybody who is using that playground. So that's why it's easier to use them for the curb ramps, the sidewalk improvements. However, what we are doing, and Yvonne Darian, our Parks and Rec Director, can talk about it, but all the playgrounds that we are putting in now and replacing are inclusive. So they do have ADA access and all that stuff. So everything is meeting it without the CDBG funds, and we've been using the Measure A LA County Parks and Rec funds.
I just didn't know if we can place structures and stuff like that where it's more inclusive like we did at Las Flores Park.
We'll double check. It hasn't been allowed, and there's a lot of changes going on right now in the CDBG program, including reductions. So we can pose that question to our HUD representative. But generally, the safest bet are what we've been doing with the sidewalk improvements, but we'll ask that question.
I know that we originally had to bank that because we couldn't use it, and it was mostly the lunch program, which only expended so much. And I know that the Community Development Department really worked at it to push the envelope to get it to where we could utilize it for other things. But all of our playgrounds now are going to be accessible and inclusive, which is great. But it would be nice to be able, if we could pinpoint something to enhance it, it would be great. Any other questions for staff? Thank you, Valerie. We're going to open up the public comment. Any public comment on this item? Ms. Beauchamp.
Can any of this money be used to make this facility here, City Hall, more ADA? We've been asking for years Joe Wetton, unfortunately, she's not able to attend the meetings anymore, but she couldn't hear. The mics don't always work. How many times is a Zoom doesn't always work. But these doors are heavy. And me coming off of a knee surgery, trying to pull a door open, it's tough. We should have the button where it opens automatically. And especially on this side where there's the handicap ramp. And there isn't one of those either. So the entrances to this building is not ADA compliant. I mean, I'm not going to file a complaint with ADA so they could sue the city, but this is something that needs to be addressed. And these are things that have been brought up numerous times in the past and they've been overlooked. So some of that sidewalk money needs to go to this building to make it. Councilmember Lau is talking about inclusivity, but we're not including ADA for this building. That's a disappointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, we're going to close public comment. Mr. Domer, you want to answer that?
Sure, yeah. As you mentioned, several years ago, there was a big surplus of funds because the city was not able to use them. We did use them for City Hall for lowering the counters. Also, this door and the front door now have the button. If they don't work, let us know, but I do believe they work. So in those instances, yes, the CDBG funds, like we did before, can be used for accessibility improvements here. This building was never a city hall. It was originally a assisted living management office or something like that. So there's been a lot of changes to it. Yeah, fireplaces, sally ports, other things like that. But so those improvements were made, and we're always looking. We're actually looking at getting a ADA transition plan, which would not just be for city facilities, but also sidewalks and other things throughout the city. So we're making great leaps. We're going to be using this funding to make those improvements. So there may be some further ADA improvements here.
We could possibly look into that door. Make it an automatic. Yeah, this one is. Make sure that it's working. Okay. Any other questions for staff? With that, do I have a motion to approve resolution titled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laverne, California, approving participation in the Community Development Block Grant Program and selecting certain projects for funding in the fiscal year 2026-27?
So move.
For a second.
Okay. Vote, please.
That item, motion by Crosby, seconded by Lau, approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Valerie. Our final public hearing, the ordinance amending the Old Town Laverne specific plan for minimum density requirement in the mixed-use 1 land district and making determination of exemption from the California Environment Quality Act pursuant to the common sense exemption of CEQA guidelines, section 15061B-3. I'd like to open the public comment and ask the city manager, please call for the staff member who will be reporting. Mr. Domer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be doing the reporting on this, and Lisa Kranis will be joining us via Zoom from somewhere down in the southern hemisphere. So yes, this is an ordinance amending the Old Town Laverne specific plan. We brought an ordinance that amended this plan about a year ago or a little bit more, from not having any type of minimum density up to having a minimum density of, at that time, we looked at 38 dwelling units per the acre. This one, so that was in June 2020, in June 2024, the city approved and entitled a 77 dwelling unit acre project at 1941 White Avenue. That's the old paper plat manufacturing. February 2025, City Council adopted that ordinance, going at 38 dwelling units. The reason we did at that time is there was a concern that if somebody came in under what was already entitled, it would put our housing element, which had just been passed within the last year, in jeopardy, because we would then have to maybe make up those housing units in another area. So we'd have to go through and rezone and all that stuff. And this council knows how difficult that is to work with the state. So we were very cautious about doing that. So we looked at different things and looked at a minimum density unit. Since that time, we have had discussions with the property owner. We've also looked at what's going on in the economy and financing, talked to other cities, and the reality is that the high density type of housing that comes in above 38, 40, 45, 60 units to the acre is not being financed right now. So the market is completely dry. So yes, economic conditions have significantly changed. There are potential impacts of lack of redevelopment of 1941, and mostly is 1941 is a cornerstone project of our enhanced infrastructure financing district. And if there's a tax exempt parcel, or if there is no reassessment of the taxing, it really puts the EIFD at a loss for several years. Potentially, we're looking at up to $60 million over the lifetime of the EIFD that could be in jeopardy if nothing is developed or something is very low developed there. So what we looked at then in looking at what other cities are doing, what actually has the financing so we can encourage development, is looked at a 20 dwelling unit per acre. So lowering that minimum density from the 38 down to the 20. That still precludes like single family housing and other things like that, but it does open it up to ownership opportunities. But really what we want to do is we want to see that parcel developed. It's the best for the city, it's the best for the EIFD, and we want to make sure that our actions are not impeding the ability of developers to develop in the city, and really increasing it to 38 dwelling unit was an impediment to developers from what we've heard. So this is just a map of the area. So Arrow Highway, this is the top kind of lined pink area is where the current Laverne Fairplex Metro Station is right now. The area to the what would be the right by White Avenue is the paper pack plant. Across Arrow Highway on the south side, or the lower portion of the screen in the darker red color, is the Fairplex-owned area. They do have a development going in there. And then, of course, the other lined pink area that is by El Marandero is El Marandero and the storage place. So just to give you a representative sample of where this parcel is. And these are the only parcels at this time. So the recommended action tonight is that the City Council conduct a public hearing. Oh, first of all, I'd like to say that the Planning Commission did review this and recommend the approval to the City Council. So it has gone through the Planning Commission process. But the recommended action is conduct a public hearing and introduce by title only and waive further reading of an ordinance titled Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Laverne, California, amending the Old Town Laverne specific plan to revise the minimum density requirement in the mixed-use 1 land use district from 38 to 20 dwelling units per acre. Find that the adoption is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to common sense exemption of CEQA guidelines, section 15061B3. And Lisa.
I just want to make clear that we're not just doing it for the 1941 property. It's all of the mixed-use 1 area, which is more of a transition between what's more traditional to the north and then the higher density 38 DU and the mixed use 2 area, for the very reason you stated, Ken, that what was once coming through and getting approved throughout the state is not happening anymore due to the change in the economic climate. So exactly what you said, we wound up, instead of encouraging development, thwarting development.
Thank you, Lisa. As anybody's seen on the 210 freeway or going to Montclair, between Monrovia, Gordy, Montclair, they've actually used every bit of construction and I think lending that was possibly out there, because you go through Monrovia just on the side streets right off of Myrtle, there's hundreds and hundreds of units they built that are probably 5 to 6 stories. Same thing in Montclair. They were assuming in Montclair that we were going to get the A-line station, so they've been building that out for years. It looks great. I mean, it's great use for for the residences they're doing. And then Doherty also, they've been building out for years, but you're not going to see cranes very often, unfortunately. you know.
And those were some of the cities that we reached out to, and even Anaheim down in around Angel Stadium, the Platinum Triangle area.
Oh, that's amazing what they've done there.
Yeah, but all that financing, everything you see around Monrovia and other places, started 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Santa Ana Mall, same
so,
thing.
Yeah.
Santa Ana Mall did the same thing. They took
Yeah, the
part of it, and they're
financing-
also doing it in Brea.
Yeah, the financing unfortunately has shriveled up.
Have we had any word from the Fairplex on their proposals as far as housing on their property?
They are still looking at what their plans are, like 300 plus units. We have been talking to them about what the overall mix is. They're looking at. They're also facing some of the things. So some of the financing challenges are you used to have a 4 or 5 story tall parking structure with the wraparound housing. That's getting harder and harder to finance, and so they're looking at changing that around so there's more on-grade parking, 2, 3, 4 story buildings still, but not wrapped around a parking structure and not built over. So there's not like 2 levels and then 3 levels of housing. So they're still playing with that. I do expect that within, before summer, that we'll be getting more direct plans.
Councilmember Johnson's talking about the area on White Avenue, just north, or actually just on the other side of the street. You go into Fairplex on the right, there's a huge parking lot that had the gates there, that another entrance where you'd go through the tunnel and go underneath to the Fairplex on the side over there. That they, Councilmember Johnson, it was 3 years ago?
At least
3 years ago we went, and it was a massive undertaking of what they were going to do. And it was just boards and just information, and people were up in arms because that is a very residential area encompassing the whole area. Besides the fact that, what was the car company that was going to build there? Carvana. That was a whole other issue, and they wished them away because they weren't going to give anything back to the community. But it's something that we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Councilmember Crosby, you.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. One is under the section still mixed use 1, where's the Laverne Fairplex Metro Station. There were rumors that Metro wanted to put some kind of housing where the parking lot is. Is there any status or information on that? And then 2, the bridge is supposed to be being built that's coming out of that section all the way over across Arrow. And what is the status on that?
I'll update you on the bridge. Pretty familiar with that. Matter of fact, one of the chief engineers, John Boucher, and also Roy Choi here from the COG, which I'm the capital projects chair. We've been having major issues with on a number of projects. One of them being the Turnbull Canyon grade separation, but in particular the bridge, because of the utilities, we can't nail Edison down to a date. So we've enlisted our Assembly, our Senate, our Congress to push Edison, because I know Edison's been very busy with the fires, but at the end of the day, we're 2 years behind on our bridge, and we have a hard drop date of the 2027 for the Olympics. Same thing with the Turnbull Canyon, and they keep changing the matrix on how we're supposed to do it. And they want to. Right now, they're in talks with Metro, which we're waiting to hear from Metro, from Stephanie Wiggins, the CEO, on the right-of-way portion of it with an easement for the Edison feeds that have to go up and over. And I should just say Edison's just been. They just kick the can down the road, and it's not realizing that these funds are a set amount, and it's tax dollars, and every time that they make a delay, it's costing more tax dollars, and construction's not going down, it's going up. So John Boucher, it's been very frustrating, but we've been working as a team with that to try to get Edison to move, and it is moving. But the other one you were asking about the
parking lot.
Parking lot.
Yeah.
Parking lot of the Metro, there was rumors saying that they were going to be putting in housing in all the parking lots all the way down in the Metro. And I know we were giving them feedback of, we just open it up. We don't, we want to make sure how many people are using it and getting there as well beforehand. But is that this zoning still, are they have to follow our zoning as well? Or if they put in other types of housing, they can follow whatever they want?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
No.
So our zoning would be more large, and Lisa could always jump in, it would be usurped by like SB 79 and some other things that the state has done. So Metro does have what's called a joint development division, and they look at those housing opportunities on their Metro-owned land property. They did send a letter a long time ago to the city that said, we're interested in doing something. And there was no other discussions at that point. Probably about a year ago, they came by the city and, had some preliminary plans about some development at the station. And after discussing with them and telling them that, at that point, the station was not even open yet, and they were not leaving any parking for commuters, we basically told them that this is not the time, please go away. Maybe come back in 8 years and we'll talk about it, because, again, this is a commuter rail station, and let's give it the opportunity to have commuters park there. There's only 300 parking spots. Let's see how it does. They do have the parking control, so they know how many cars are parked there at the time. But, at this point, we were very strong in saying we don't want to see housing there right now. We want to see that station become successful. We want to get beyond the Olympics and also get the Fairplex housing and other things like that in to see, again, how successful that station is going to be. I do expect that because they are looking to create over 10,000 units at all their properties, they'll eventually come back. And with the state housing, we'll have to see what type of control we have over it. But at this time, they did acknowledge that we had some positive things to say, and there's been no other movement on their joint development of housing at that property at this time. So.
Mr. Johnson.
Question, Tim. With the bridge and all the other improvements with Edison, those two projects, does the COG have the funds that they can at least earn interest on to try to help?
John? Yes, John Boucher.
So we're not
Chief Engineer.
going too far back.
You want to make? Can you speak on that, or
it's kind of, on that issue? That's a little bit far off this topic.
The funds are locked up. We have the funds. We have a set amount of funds, and
but also,
we
Mr.
can.
Mayor, that's
not.
It's not related to this issue.
It's not at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
That's the city attorney.
The bridge will be built, but we have to get Edison to move. So there you go.
Well, there was a lady from Edison earlier today that came. She's our new government liaison.
Yes.
So I got it. Great.
We've been. It's gone all the way to the top of Edison because it's just an issue. But we really do need to watch the property on the fair on the station.
Oh.
Something that it's. I'll leave it at that.
Well, that's
anyway.
part of the zoning.
Yeah, it's just that they have plans. We just need to make sure that they know what our plans don't include. So, anyway, with that, I should open up public comment. Yes. Lose it.
Kathy Kalusek, 3rd Street. I was actually really happy to see this because when you were changing it to the 38 units, it's my neck of the woods down there. I said, that's a little too much. So, I like this. I am happy to see it. It would be nice to see development similar to what they did on 1st Street in Claremont. And if we could talk to, I know I've brought this up to several people, and Sherry has as well, talk to ULV about that packing house and make it a retail space because we need tax revenue. So, housing combined with more retail space would be good for our city. But I'm happy to see us reducing to 20 per acre. Thank you.
It's good to see you this year. Happy New Year, Mayor. My question is, with the housing comes, my concern is for the crowding in the schools with families that come here, how they're going to accommodate that. I know there's a large amount of students per teachers, and so my concern if they think about, extending some to help so that the education of our children are not affected by the families that do join here in Laverne. That's a big concern of mine. So something to consider, I hope.
Thank you. Any other public comment? With that, we're going to close public comment, bring up the dais. Do we have a comment back on that, Domer?
No, I know that the school district looks at all of our zoning and the amount of students that are projected, and there's also development impact fees that they collect for those students that goes towards the building of new classrooms or other things like that. So,
okay. Councilmember Lau, you had a question?
Yeah, I mean, it's not related. I mean, it's not directly related, but it's related. Just the property that we're talking about. If
one of the properties.
The 1941 white. The property we are talking about.
Well, that's it,
for the zoning of
the mixed. Well, it is one of the properties that's part of the mixed use one. So it was a reference.
But this is the example that we're using, right, in terms of the financing that is
that we've
difficult
heard from the owners and others. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, do we have any? Have they been consulted with respect to this? They understand that this is what's
absolutely.
going on?
Yeah, there's actually in the packet. There's a letter from Colliers, which is their property broker. Yeah, they're supportive of this.
Right there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? No. With that, do I have a motion introduced by title only and waive further reading of an ordinance titled, an ordinance of the City of Council of the City of Laverne, California, amending the Old Town Laverne specific plan, revise the minimum density requirement in the mixed-use one land use district from 38 to 20 dwelling units per acre. Find that the adoption is exempt from the California Environment Quality Act pursuant to the common sense exemption of CEQA guidelines section 15061B3. Motion.
I'll move.
Second? Second. Vote, please.
That item, motion by Lau, seconded by Cashel Fagita, and approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. There are 3 items on the discussion calendar tonight. First is the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments and City of Pomona Aero Highway Class 4 two-way bikeway project design and potential City of Laverne participation for Aero Highway rehabilitation. City Manager Domer, please call forward the staff members who will be reporting. Director Wu.
Danny Wu.
Danny. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. The item before you is a discussion item regarding a regionally significant Aero Highway Class 4 two-way bikeway project proposed by the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments in partnership with the City of Pomona. The project is part of a broader first and last mile effort to improve multimodal connectivity to the Metro A line and strengthen east-west mobility across several San Gabriel Valley cities, including Laverne. As outlined in the staff report, council direction is requested on 2 items this evening. First is whether to allow the bikeway to extend to White Avenue rather than terminating at the city limits. And second is whether the city would like to contribute towards the Aero Highway pavement rehabilitation within Laverne at the same time as the regional bikeway project. We are joined this evening by our regional partners, and I would like to recognize Roy Choi, the San Gabriel Valley COG project manager for this effort, along with members of the City of Pomona team who are here this evening, including a very, very familiar face.
Who is she?
Former Public Works Director, Meg McWade, and a good friend of mine. So thank you for being here. And with that, I'll turn it over to Roy to give the presentation.
Before we move forward, City Manager Domer, can you address the recusal issue that we talked about?
Sure. I'm going to turn it over to Assistant City Attorney Ivy Tsai about the. Yes. Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Councilmember Lau lives within the vicinity of the area that will be discussed, but she falls within an exemption and there is no conflict of interest.
Good evening, Roy.
Good evening.
Who's with you, Roy?
Well, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Laverne City Council members,
I'm joined today by my Assistant Director, John Boucher. I thought we'd give him love, and also one other mention for the City of Pomona's City Engineer, Arnold De Choza.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
I will say before Roy does his spiel for us on this wonderful new approach and new bike lanes, which I drove yesterday in an RV. It needs to be redone. Anyway, this is a talent group, the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, and also along with Pomona, but it's a very talented group. We do grade separations, which means the train goes over and you dig underneath it and make for safe access for many, many residents in multiple neighborhoods. We are at, I think, Bridge 17 on the grade separation, 2 more to go. Besides bike lanes, besides improvements, easements, you name it, you guys do a great job. And it's the COG, San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, represents 31 cities, 2 municipalities, District 5 and District 3, I think it is, for the LA County Supervisors, and then a few other new people. But you guys do a great job. I've been serving on the COG for 10 years now, been chair for 3 years, and president the last 2 years. So they just do an amazing job. I just wanted to pump you guys up. You guys do a great job, and every time we watch the dollars that are going out, tax dollars that are spent, they're very serious about what they spend their money on and make sure that every dollar is $1.25 in value.
Well, thank you so much for that compliment, Mayor. I've got to, respond to that as well, to say, nothing we do at the COG is a standalone effort without the support of our former board president. So thank you so much, and for your continued service. Also, this has been a huge collaborative effort between your city manager, Ken, and your new public works, well, not too new, I guess, now anymore, but Danny Wu, your public works director, and your former public works director, Meg, who's now the public works director in the city of Pomona, and Arnold De Choza, and obviously John's help as well on the project. So it has been the definition of what a collaborative project can be. And so I'll actually detail that as part of my project presentation for you as well. First, I wanted to also thank you for the opportunity to present the City Council and the Mayor an update and details on the City of Pomona's first last mile project. I will specifically focus on the Arrow Highway and the Class 4 bikeway that's being proposed. Okay. So the primary item that I'll cover tonight is I'll also describe how the framework of how this project fits into the COG's greater East San Gabriel Valley Sustainable Multimodal Improvement Project, or what we call SMIP for short and for my sanity. The Pomona First Last Mile Project is one of the cities that are involved. This East San Gabriel Valley SMIP project is a collaboration of 7 East San Gabriel Valley cities, including cities of Azusa, Claremont, Covina, Glendora, Laverne, Pomona, and San Dimas, all with a goal of delivering active transportation and what we call first last mile projects that serve and provide connectivity to the Metro A-line stations. So I will also cover the project benefits, some details on the funding and the proposed schedule for the project. So again, as I described, the SMIP is a collaboration of these 7 cities. The primary focus is to increase and enhance walking, bikeability, and access to the Metro A-lane stations without diminishing vehicular access or taking more away from the public in terms of parking and vehicle access as well. So the primary focus tonight, as I discussed, is our improvements proposed for Arrow Highway. The City of Pomona's first last mile project is comprised of improvements primarily on Arrow and Gary, but for tonight's conversation, the impacts that affect and benefits that are proposed for the City of Laverne are specific to the Arrow Highway segment. As you described earlier, we work on behalf of the 31 San Gabriel Valley cities. And the project was born out of previous planning efforts and documents, including, but not least, the Arrow Highway Multi-Corridor Regional Plan and Metro's First Last Mile Plan. The project is also consistent with the City of Laverne's general plan goals and the active transportation plan that was adopted by your council. And I will also describe White Avenue. I will also explain why White Avenue was proposed as the western terminus for Arrow Highway Class 4 Bikeway. And again, this is another example of our ability to, when we work together, to deliver regionally significant projects on behalf of our constituents. So the primary benefits of this project, again, is to provide that connectivity between the Laverne Metro A-Line station to Pomona Downtown Regional Transit Center and Pomona North Metrolink station, served primarily by the proposed Class 4 bikeway improvements on Arrow Highway and our pedestrian and safety upgrades on Gary. The idea is to provide a continuous, what we call a Class 4 bikeway, or what's also referred to as a cycle track. In this case, I will further describe how it's going to be two-way in nature on the south side of Arrow Highway. Associated improvements also include pedestrian ADA upgrades, lighting, intersection safety upgrades, and last but not least, pavement rehab on Arrow Highway that's been proposed. And this project was recently approved by City Council in Pomona in December. So the primary goals of this project is to provide that key east-west multimodal corridor linking three East San Gabriel Valley cities, including Laverne, Pomona, and to the east, Claremont. It will provide that direct access to the Pomona Metro A-Line stations. And the goal of the project is to be designed to provide enhanced safety and mobility for residents, commuters, workers, and visitors, basically anyone from the ages of 8 to 80 years old. And you may also know that you have a major upcoming LA 28 Summer and Paralympic venue at the Pomona Fairplex Complex for the cricket, one of the largest spectated games in the world. So again, the western limits are on White, but on Arrow Highway for our proposed Class 4 bikeway. But the eastern limits go all the way to the border of Pomona and Claremont at Mountain and Cambridge. And that map to the upper left-hand corner of this slide shows the project location map for the Arrow Highway Class 4 bikeway segment. And that lower map shows all of the 7 cities, which are basically adjacent to each other, and how critical these improvements are for the East San Gabriel Valley cities. As I discussed earlier, the proposed design for Arrow Highway for the Class 4 bikeway is two-way, located on the south side. Typically, you might see a bikeway that's designed on both opposing directions of the street, but a Class 4 bikeway can be also designed as a two-way bike facility or a raised cycle track, or protected cycle track, as also known as a protected cycle track, in this case on the south side. And the reason why we're locating a two-way cycle track on the south side for Arrow Highway is because we have parking constraints in a good section between Lordsburg and Fair Avenue in Pomona that prevent us from putting a traditional bidirectional bikeway on both sides of the street. The primary design components for a Class 4 bikeway is to separate the bikeway from vehicular traffic with both striping and a vertical delineator. In this case, a plastic delineator in most cases. What that does, that vertical separation does, is to increase and separate out vehicular traffic from the cyclists using the two-way cycle track. I think an important aspect to note here is that for both Pomona and especially the city of Laverne, we will be maintaining the existing vehicle lane configuration, so we will not lose capacity for regular general purpose vehicles, and there will be no on-street parking impacts along the curb. And again, I think a huge selling point to both the communities of Pomona and Laverne is that full pavement rehab or rehabilitation is being proposed from one side of the curb to the other side of the curb, basically the full width of Arrow Highway between the project limits between White and Cambridge and Mountain Avenue. So I'd like to dive into, the particular details and what this means for the city of Laverne. There is a particular segment between Lordsburg and White Avenue. That last 850 feet happens to be within the city of Laverne's city boundaries. And the purpose of that really was so that we could continue a seamless bicycle multimodal connection from the Pomona Metrolink and Metro A-Line stations between that and the Fairplex complex. As you all know, White Avenue is just east of your Laverne Metro A-Line station as well, so it provides that connectivity between the two Metro A-Line stations and to that future Olympic venue, which is very critical. You may also know that the LA 28 Olympics Committee, along with Metro, are really working to minimize vehicular travel to and from these venues. So transit and bicycling would also help to achieve that goal to minimize vehicular travel to and from these Olympic venues. Primarily, the proposed modifications that for Arrow Highway will be striping to reconfigure the roadway to accommodate an additional facility within the street without taking any vehicle lanes. The addition of a painted buffer and vertical delineators to, again, separate out traffic. In order to get where we are today, about approximately 4 alternatives were presented to the City of Pomona City Council, and the direction that we received at the initial meeting, we had 2 meetings with them, was to minimize parking impacts, maintain existing travel lanes, and to avoid right-of-way impacts and right-of-way takes as much as possible. So the proposed alternative that being presented to you today was adopted and approved by the City Council in Pomona in early December of 25. So again, that last segment between Lordsburg and White Avenue is approximately 850 feet. We believe that it provides a logical and safe bikeway terminus to connect the 2 Metro lane stations and, just as importantly, the future Olympic venue at the Pomona Fairplex complex. As I mentioned earlier, the project is consistent with the City of Laverne's general plan and, more importantly, the active transportation plan that was adopted by the council. It provides that multimodal connectivity to the venues, and we believe that it provides a potentially amenable, cost-effective option for the City of Laverne to get your portion of your bikeway improved. It's notable when I say it's consistent with the city's active transportation plan. This segment of Arrow Highway is actually included in the City of Laverne's active transportation plan as a future project. So, in essence, if the city were to partner with City of Pomona and the SGV COG, this would be your opportunity to build and deliver that project earlier, and I think at a lower cost. The current project estimate, and again, there's a caveat to this. So this is an older cost estimate. So the full cost estimate is above $16 million. This was what we proposed to the Pomona City Council to let them know this is absent the amount of monies that are necessary to do the full pavement rehab for Arrow Highway. Currently, the majority of the project is funded through grant funds secured by the COG and funding contributed by Pomona's general fund. The majority of the funding is comprised of federal funding through the carbon reduction program. $2.3 million was directly secured by the SGV COG and Measure M sub-regional program funds, or what we like to call MSP funds. And the last seed of funding that the COG received was through Metro for active transportation. And I will later describe how that affects our schedule, because that funding is predicated on the COG and the City of Pomona's ability to deliver the project ahead of 28. the LA28 Olympic and Paralympic Games.
You know, Roy, I was looking at the numbers. You've got 16,112,952. Looks like our costs are at $528,000. Meg, don't you think you could just throw that in there? It's such a small percentage. Just throw the Laverne side. I mean, you know, come on.
Christy told me that was budget dust for Pomona.
Budget dust. There. Thank you, Rick. I like that. Budget dust. I mean, come on, Meg.
Well, I do.
No one will know, Meg. Come on. Oh, wait.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for that, because I think you gave me a segue. So prior to the December Pomona City Council meeting, the city's contribution remained at $1.6 million. That grew by an additional 2.2 because one of the requests of city staff and the council members at the prior meeting in September of last year was to investigate the potential of giving the city of Pomona full payment rehab for Arrow Highway. And, you know, in driving this corridor on multiple occasions during my site visits and again tonight, I'm constantly reminded on why that's needed because the pavement index is fairly bad.
That's not even a question.
Yes.
It's
so, yeah,
definitely needed. It's complete
I'm
failure.
Speaking to those already now. So yes.
Okay, so forget my $500,000. That's what you're saying.
Believe me, we've been in discussions with everyone to get to where we are today. So, yes, the city's additional contribution, City of Pomona specifically, grew by 2.2 as of December, and you know we think that if we were to get some additional funding through you, which I will cover in the next slides, right now we think the proportionate share for the City of Laverne is just under $530, approximately about $528,000. That pays for the additional design efforts. Because let me go back a little bit. So in December, one of the things that was approved by the City Council was to, as I mentioned earlier in the previous slides, we had received direction from City Council to minimize right-of-way impacts. What was proposed was a new alternative in December, subsequent to the September meeting where we initially received that direction. We went back and spoke to our designers to figure out, would it be feasible to narrow the existing raised median on an Arrow Highway to then keep the bikeway in the street without raising it onto the southern sidewalk on Arrow Highway between Lordsburg and Fair, which would have really drove up the cost for right-of-way acquisition. And more than anything, our critical path item right now, as I mentioned earlier, is to deliver the project ahead of the LA28 Games, which is also a funding requirement for the last seed of money of about $1.8 million in Metro Active Transportation Cycle 2 funding. So that is really driving our schedule to deliver the project ahead of the LA28 Summer Olympic Games and Paralympic Games. So my understanding after speaking with your, sorry, Cody, I forgot to give you props earlier. It's been a pleasure working with the city's engineer as well. So in our coordination meetings that we've had leading up to our discussion today, my understanding is that, again, this project is included in the City of Laverne's Active Transportation Plan, and should the city want to deliver this project independently, it would cost approximately $250, at least about $250,000 more to do that on your own. So again, we think that, you know, by leveraging the funding that's been secured by both the COG and the City of Pomona's local city contribution of $3.8 million towards the project, correct in my math, we think that you would get a good amount of cost savings towards implementing your project that's included in your ATP. Again, our schedule, currently we're in 60% PS&E, or another word for just engineering design. We expect to finish design by the end of this year, which would avail us the opportunity to start construction in early spring of 27. And again, because one of the selling points to obtain the grant funding from Metro was this connectivity to the Fairplex. So if we were to phase construction starting on the westerly limits at White Avenue, we think we could help deliver your portion of the improved segment of the Class 4 bikeway on Arrow Highway as early as the fall of 27, and between that and winter of 27. But we're working to really deliver your segment as soon as possible. So again, I'll just summarize what I spoke about earlier. Why partner now? Again, we have an existing project and partnership. Again, you guys, I think I didn't mention, but you had mentioned earlier, Tim, Mayor Sandoval, that the city of Laverne also has a pedestrian project. My apologies. My apologies. That's right. I apologize. Yeah. So this project will connect both of the Smith Cities projects. Our assistant director John Boucher is working to deliver the the Laverne Ped Bridge project. So we think this would be a continuation of our regional partnership. Independent delivery is again just shy of 800,000, currently estimated at 775. We expect that the city of Laverne partner with the city of Pomona and the SGV COG that the city of Laverne could save at least $250,000 to deliver this improvement for Arrow Highway. And design and construction is currently covered by the grants. So as Danny, your Public Works Director, had mentioned earlier, we'd like the council to consider the continuation of the Class 4 bikeway to White Avenue, extending the bikeway beyond the Pomona city limits to terminate in Laverne at White. And again, the contribution that we discussed earlier for the city of Laverne's pavement section between Lordsburg and White Avenue. So with that, I can open up the questions.
Can we do that in installments over 10 years? I'm just checking, just checking.
Unfortunately, no.
That would be no.
Mr.
Roy?
Mayor, actually, we do have that funding already kind of appropriated.
We are ready to go.
Arrow Highway CIP project that has funding that would cover this, so that's a good thing.
No, it is a good thing. Roy, thank you.
Don't tell Meg
Thank
that.
you. Don't tell Meg. That's right. Roy, thank you. Questions for Roy before we go to public comment? We might call you back up. Thank you. That was a great presentation. We're going to open up public comment on this item. Anyone wish to speak on that? Jamie.
Mayor Hepburn and City Council. So I do support a bikeway and repaving the street in Pomona. You are coming westbound on Arrow Highway from Pomona. It's like driving on a Super Mario game, especially after the rain. However, I do want to make sure that we're considering the traffic in that 800 feet because although it is 3 lanes, it consolidates into 2 at the city limit. And if you live in that complex, there are 2 gates, and at rush hour, it backs up. So I know that we're saying we're going to keep the lanes and all of that, but there's potential. It already backs up in that section in the evenings at rush hour. Also, the Arrow Highway corridor is currently under construction in that area, the median. So I really hope that we did not spend a bunch of money to upgrade the medians to then come in and tear it down, because I know that a couple months ago, the city spent a bunch of money through grants and stuff like that. So hopefully there's no impact on those improvements. Thank you.
Anybody else? Public comment? Ms. Beauchamp, and then Mr. Bowen.
I would like to know what statistical data shows that the lanes are necessary to exceed White Avenue. Just as Jamie explained, that traffic backs up. In a perfect world, that right lane would be right turn only to go south on White, because you immediately go to that 3 to 2 lane and people are trying to jam in there at the last minute. You've got cars that are parked there because of those houses and the entrance to the Lordsburg property, but people are trying to get over to go to Laverne Avenue. So when you're stuck in that mess, it's very dangerous. So if you were to continue that, now you're going to add bicycles to that formula. So, you know, they were talking about Caltrans is going to put the bike lanes on Foothill Boulevard. I mean, other than the bike people on the weekends that come from Upland and Claremont who don't need them because they can be on Baseline, why do we need to have this on Arrow to continue past White? I think it's a deadly formula, to be honest with you. And I don't live where Jamie lives. She sees it more on the daily. I do drive Arrow. I drive Laverne Avenue quite often. So that traffic is an issue, the 3 to 2 lane, and then you're going to put a bike lane there. So I would definitely reconsider that. but I would like to see the data. I didn't see it in the packet as to why it would be required.
Thank you, Mr. Beauchamp. Mr. Bowen.
Good evening, Council. Luckily, I don't live down there, thank God, because when I do drive down there occasionally, it's a mess. And since Metro, all you have is traffic. I mean, I sat down there the other day through a couple of lights, and nobody seems to coordinate the lights even. You can't coordinate the lights, but you're going to tear up Arrow Highway. It's already awful. You also, thank you, Danita, for bringing it up. 6 months ago, we had Caltrans in here saying they have the rights to redo Foothill Boulevard. We talked about Baseline, but they said they don't have the rights up there, so they want to mess with Foothill. So you're going to have them tear up Arrow Highway, and to Jamie's point, what about the medians? How do you keep all the lanes the same, but add bicycle lanes at the same time? I'm not an engineer by any means, but that seems odd. Also, the $500,000. Is that a guarantee? Is that a cap? Because all these things run over in costs. You know that's going to happen. And the driving force seems to be the Olympics. Where's LA's contribution? We're a small town. We're potentially in financial trouble in not 2 years. But you're going to redo that area, and then you're going to have Caltrans come in and mess up Foothill. Guys, we won't be able to drive anywhere, and maybe that's the point. Meg, we miss you. You bailed out on us a year ago, but we still miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Harry, come on up.
Hey, Mayor Verne and Kesha Fajita and Lau and Johnson and Crosby. Good to see you. All these funny faces. I thought you were a member of ICE there for a while tonight.
That was nice.
Yeah, I'm kidding. I was kidding. I haven't driven White Avenue east of White or Arrow Highway east of White Avenue in quite some time because it is, particularly the westbound lanes, are horrible. The only street that I know of is worse than that is Main Street in Pomona between Holt and Pearl. So, but Mike, I seem to recall that probably 2023 or 2024, it was announced that Laverne and Pomona were going to go together to rebuild White Avenue, and I don't know if this is now a part of where this has gone to, because we were told about that. But I really don't understand why we would end a bike lane at White Avenue, westbound. White Avenue is a lot of traffic. I mean, I live right off of White Avenue, trying to get out onto White Avenue, especially during the time people are going to work and coming home. It's horrible. And the real problem is if you ended at White Avenue, I mean, why not go to D Street, where people are going to get off? They can go up D Street and hit the bike lanes on Bonita, but there isn't. To go up White Avenue, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's just, and there's no room to put in bike lanes on White Avenue at that point. I think some of this needs to be looked at a little more.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? We're going to close public comment. Do you want to answer some of the questions on those as far as the...
Sure. Let me try a couple things, and then I could always bring up Cody or somebody else. On the medians, I know, yes, there was a greening project on the Arrow Highway medians. Those were purposely designed with this project in mind if it came through. So the project, if it has to impact those medians, will impact it, but it won't impact any of the planting or anything else that was done in there.
Because they're doing that now.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's a comment about the. This is, as Roy said, this is at 60% PS&E, so design. This is the time to look at some of those design features, and if we want to instruct the COG and others to look at that through our Public Works Department about what I understand was the approach eastbound on Arrow as you get to White, potentially a right turn only, so that when you go across White, there's not 3 lanes, and then going into 2 right about Lordsburg Court. Is that correct? So maybe looking at design a little bit more to have 2 lanes on the other side, because literally within 600 feet, you're at 2 lanes anyway from White. So if anything, that would be the time to look at those design now, because we're going to be theoretically making changes. So on Foothill Boulevard, actually, within the last 2 weeks, we've been communicating with Caltrans, asking them, hey, we gave you some comments about what you proposed for Foothill Boulevard and the bikeway and the complete streets there. And what we're hearing back from them is it hasn't been funded. It's not in the next cycle. And at this point, sometime after 2026 or 2028, that they'd even be looking at putting it in a funding cycle. So we've been talking to Marlon Regisford, who is the Deputy Director of Caltrans District 7, about our concerns, taking the community input, reinforcing that. We do that every 4 to 6 months to let them know that if they're serious about it, we really want to have some good conversations. And right now, there's nothing until after 2028, so that's good news. And then on the White Avenue, I do know that we did participate with Pomona on a White Avenue project. And much like we're doing now, it didn't require a full reconstruction, but I do believe it was maybe a flurry or a smaller grind and overlay that we worked with Pomona, provided money, and they did that portion of the street south of Arrow Highway. So,
Mr. Hepburn, I'd like to add a concern of mine on Arrow Highway. It seems like for our emergency vehicles transporting, which we do every day constantly, as far as for me, whether it's Hillcrest or other emergency vehicles taking people to the hospital, it seems like we should have some sort of a grade separation that we can get a clear path for those emergency vehicles to get past Arrow Highway. That's just been a concern of mine ever since seeing every day traffic backing up. It's just a gridlock.
You talking on White, or are you talking
I'm
on
talking
Arrow
about
Highway?
White. Oh, excuse me, no, Arrow Highway.
Arrow Highway?
Arrow Highway from...
Eastbound or westbound?
In the evening, it's going east.
East?
Yes. Middle of the day is not that big a deal, but with the traffic flow that we have, commuter traffic, that's a major concern of mine when somebody's going to need to get to the hospital as quick as they can, and you get into that gridlock.
Understanding grade separation costs, I mean, it would, I'd say, astronomical. It would be in the $150 million range. And that's mostly for, although we are in a situation where we didn't have any grade separations at all, we're all at grade on all of our A-line stations and our travel, which we did not get. Some of the others had the flyovers on the A-line, being Glendora, being San Dimas, and Claremont's going to be the same. But I guess
the only other thing, Rob, do you have any knowledge of the issues, or is it an issue as far as the traffic?
Robert, come on up.
Sorry,
BC Russell.
Sorry about that.
The issue,
to your question,
Mr. Russell, the issue is the microphone, so that the people in the public can.
And I'm going to rely on Cody here a little bit as well. On at least one instance, we've had both our transport ambulances stuck in queuing traffic on White Avenue. So where you wind up with grade crossings, the arms down, along with the phasing the traffic signals, causing traffic to back up. And it's happenstance. There's no guarantee that we're going to be transporting, patients at any one specific point in time, but it has happened. And I think Coney can elaborate a little bit more on the timing and queuing and the efforts that have been taken to resolve some of those issues.
Thank you.
Well, I'll do my best to not bore you guys with the in-depth details for signal timing. But as BC Russell mentions, yes, he and I spoke specifically about that instance. I spoke with Foothill Gold Line Construction Authority, and what they relayed to me is it was a one-off situation where they had an equipment failure. To be honest, to expect that equipment, as complicated it is, would never have an issue. I think is probably a little bit more than a one-off, but hopefully a rare occasion and something that my understanding is they've solved. And through the testing and the iteration over the last few months of their operation, I think there's room for improvement, but we've seen things starting to smooth out on that type of those types of issues.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, I do believe I wasn't here at the time, but the grade separation concept of White Avenue, that was a decision that should have been made, 15 or 20 years ago, because they did it in other cities. As far as east-west transit on Arrow Highway, I'm not sure what LA County or Metro or whatever, issue with signal preemption, looking down the road and all that stuff, but if that does become something, signal preemption is a device on the traffic signal that is triggered by an emergency vehicle, and it prompts the ability to go green. So that's another issue, but our ambulance operators are skilled and trained at, driving safely, but getting there in an expeditious time to make sure that, life-saving issues are there.
So this proposal tonight is actually for just 850 feet.
Only for us.
For our side. I do have a couple concerns, but I just want to make sure it's saying it's just for that short distance. We don't have any say-so over Pomona's and what they have, and so really what we have to do is what kind of Pomona agreed to rather than what Laverne really wants on that spot, because they're doing the primary area. But though I do have concerns that were said. One is that I don't want to change the lanes, but if the lanes aren't changed, it's reducing, especially on the south side, the area of the lanes. They're not going to be as wide because now you're putting this double, not one bike lane,
what is the
double bike
measurement
lane.
on the lanes on those? Do you have that measurement? What's the standard lane? 14 feet?
And that's one of the reasons for the median
That's what I was
adjustments.
going to ask.
Yeah, so
The median.
they're
So we're moving the
squeezing
medians, but those aren't the medians that have been refurbished.
No, as I was stating earlier, and maybe Cody can come back up, the medians that are being refurbished could be impacted, but they're being designed so that if they are impacted, they're not ruining what we're putting in, the planting material and all that other stuff. So there's low shrubs that,
Yeah,
Cody
so
can explain.
just to clarify that question, yeah. So the irrigation lines, those are being placed. They're hugging more northerly in the medians. It's the southerly median curb that's going to be disrupted by this project that's being proposed. There will be plant material that we're going to try our best to minimize any impact, but we want to also be cognizant that when we finish our project when this project starts, there's going to be some time. So low cost, very low ground cover material, but honestly probably relying a lot on ground cover materials like mulch and DG that can be removed and replaced where they fit is probably, honestly, you're going to see a heavier application of that on the south side with this project in mind.
But they're going to if they have to do that, they have to take out basically the curb and gutter.
Correct. The curb and gutter that you see there today on the southerly side will be removed. The northerly curb will be protected, and the difference will be, handed over to it'd be the westbound lanes or the south side of the street.
So what would be a standard width on a road is?
So standard width, when we design roads, is usually 12 foot is what you want to shoot for. That's for the basic. You can go less. In this situation, I got
a big truck.
I
Yeah.
think
I got an RV.
you'd be surprised. So for the council's, I guess, reference, like Fruit Street going north from Foothill towards the 210 freeway, the northbound number 1 lane gets as narrow as 10 feet. Now, you've probably felt that some of those areas get narrow, but that's kind of that's the bottom line. It doesn't go less than 10 feet. And so that's kind of just a visual reference that I'm sure.
So
council's
are we at 12 standard?
I believe we're at 11 once I find the right agenda report in my hands.
I'm just curious.
So then,
Yeah, so it's 11-foot travel lanes is what I am kind of seeing through here, and then left turn pockets are narrowed down to 10, but you're slowing down, decelerating, and kind of staging and queuing in those left turn pockets.
so then we're talking about the property right in front of, right in front of the public storage. That's the curb that would be pushed in then, right, to widen it to accommodate the 2-lane bikes.
Well, so the plans are at a 60% level completion, and this is one of the things that we're working through the details is how these are all going to go through. But in the bigger picture, I think the goal is to try to protect that southerly curb in front of the self-storage, in front of the Lordsburg Court as much as possible. Not to say that will be completely protected, but that I think would be the goal, and they're looking at using the median or the southerly curb on the median as where more of the space will be acquired to retain the roadway properties.
So you're talking where the median is right across from Lordsburg Court.
Correct.
You're talking that curb against Lordsburg Court is where it would get adjusted, or you're considering the median being moved as how we're adjusting the roadway, or the width of the roadway.
Predominantly, the goal is to look at the median. So I don't recall what the median width is right now, but it's very healthy, and it gets down to, I think, 6 foot. So we go from probably a 12 to maybe 14-foot median to 6 foot. And don't quote me on those numbers. I'm just I'm ballparking here. But that's where a predominant amount of that space that what was formerly or currently piles of dirt, to be frank, will be reduced to future landscape medians, and then that remainder that gets former medians would be then turned to asphalt pavement.
So then to address some of the comments that have been made by the residents, we're talking about 3 lanes coming towards Pomona, toward that way, is at a 3-lane, and then it would drop to a 2, but you're saying it'll spread out because of where the median is in front of Lordsburg. So I think the issue is that going to be uniform, the whole way through to accommodate the bike lane coming down that way? Like, what is that going to look like? Because it does implicate the traffic, it does implicate, safety issues and everything else. So how does that? I need a visual.
Sure.
I wish you had a thing so you could.
So is there? I think there's a drawing. Is there?
No, the maps. I want like drawings.
Okay.
I want like
Or this map right here, which is showing right here.
That's not up on the. We don't have that up on the.
No.
It's not part of the. It's part of the packet.
It's the first one, page 122 of 214. Signing and striping exhibit Arrow Highway. Looks like it. Avenue Mermonte. You've got Lordsburg Court. Then it's showing the
details, and I'll pass this on to Director McWade. But the details, like I said, are still at a 60% level completion. There's a lot of fine tuning.
I think one of the biggest concerns is the flow of traffic. We already had problems with White Avenue, with Arrow Highway, with the signalization. I know that Caltrans is working on that, but a lot of frustration in the fact that, granted, we're only on a small portion. I think this is a great idea. The unfortunate part of this, and the fortunate part, is the fact that this doesn't happen without these grants. Without these grants, you don't put the bike lanes, you don't get the pavement.
Right.
You get nothing, basically. And so, I mean, that's the issue, as Councilmember Crosby brought up. So we're talking a small portion, but the most important thing is to make sure that we have the maximum width we possibly can. As we've talked about before, we've talked about streets many times. Give us the maximum amount of width we can go with without reducing our Class 4 bike lane, and giving the residents, and especially the queuing and the turning, as I said, it's really important because right now we've got some issues, and one of them is White Avenue, and it's really bad, and I'm hearing it from a lot of people. So it might be the Caltrans issue, or you just can't even make a left turn or right turn because the queuing never goes. And it's going to be a really big issue.
So the action item on this particular discussion point is not a vote, but with direction, request for direction from this council. And so I think based on the feedback that we're hearing from the residents, these are the concerns that, we want the pavement. Trust me.
We like the dollar value.
We like the dollar value.
Yeah.
But the concern is the design going to accommodate the issues that have been raised in terms of traffic, safety? What does that look like in terms of striping so that we're directing traffic accordingly? Because it can be problematic. So, I mean, like I said, I'm all for not having potholes. That would be great. I'm too old for roller coasters. So, I mean, my head says different. But I think that if the direction from council is, I think these are the comments that you're hearing. I don't know what the timeline is necessarily on when we can hear back on what that direction produces.
So to kind of follow up on Councilmember Crosby's, the two items are the continuation of the Class 4 bikeway. So Pomona is moving forward with a project that is along Arrow Highway, the entire length of their city boundaries. And their choice is either to terminate it right at the city boundary with Laverne, or if they continue it, based on this council's direction to go ahead and continue it, it would go to White Avenue. That's about 850 linear feet of a new bikeway. Pomona and the COG, through their grant, would pay for those improvements, including to the median and the pavement for that pathway and all that stuff. So that's the one item, whether this council says, no, stop it at the boundary, or take it to White Avenue. What I'm hearing based on some comments, just so I can be correct and I can work with Cody and Danny on this and the crew from COG and Pomona, is there was concern about currently how Arrow Highway east of White Avenue is configured, because yes, you're traveling 3 lanes, and then you're going to 3 lanes, and then you're down to 2 lanes when it gets almost to Pomona, and there's issues with traffic and backup and all that stuff. So am I correct in hearing that you would like the design team to look at the potential of eastbound on Arrow right before White, looking at 2 lanes and a right turn only, which would take you to White, and then there's 2 lanes on the east side of Arrow until Pomona, because that equals what they have, and a right turn into Lordsburg? Or was it?
Well,
I just want to clarify.
I have 3 total concerns. I've only stated 1.
Okay.
Sorry, no, it's good.
When did you cut you off?
It's good. The first one again was make sure the lanes are wide and stay in there. The second concern is that this bike lane is going all the way to White, but then because for the assumption that it's getting traffic to the A-line station and stuff, but it's on the south side, and then it's not going, because it's our side, on the other side of White. And then what do we do with those lanes there? We have 3 lanes there. So my other concern, besides it's ending at White, and then those bikes have nowhere to go, and they're going the direction on the street, and they have nowhere to go. And the ones that are using it are going to be primarily not. They're going to be your recreational street bikers that are going down the lanes. That's what normally rides around on the weekends and stuff in larger groups, and then they have nowhere to go. They just stop, or they don't know where they're going to be going.
Or they want to
continue that way, and there's nowhere that to go.
Or use the gold line.
Yeah, and then they would have to go north and then move around. It makes a cluster right there on the White. Then my last concern is about what you just said, is that on the west side of White, on Arrow, where we talked about when Caltrans came here, not really reducing our lanes, really because we want the flow of traffic to keep going, and that if we're now this is going to make us reduce lanes on the west side and turn south on White, we have an entrance into the Fairplex right there, where when they have selling the car parts and stuff like that,
last weekend
we have our police cut off a lane already with cones to make sure traffic's flowing into the Fairplex. If eventually there's a bike lane going to be going there, it's going to reduce that even more, and then we have a real big cluster when we have events at the Fairplex. That's why my concern of lanes not being reduced, especially right there where it's prime location in front of the A-line station. So 3 concerns is 1, the size of the lanes that are maintaining so vehicles can get down safely and not causing. 2 is that where do the bikes go at the stoppage at White, and 3 on the western side of White on Arrow, maintaining our lanes to make traffic flow out.
Okay, understood. And I just wrote a couple quick comments. We'll make note of make lanes as wide as possible. The bike lanes, I don't know if in the design there's the green, safety to go north and then west to the station. And then really anything else other than west of White on Arrow, even though it's in our plans for active transportation, there's no funding, there's no planning. This is absolutely not a direction whatsoever on that issue. No, exactly. Yeah.
So they have to go north because there's nothing else. It goes north.
But they're going to have to go
area.
somewhere anyway, because if they stop at the boundary, then those bikes don't have a White Avenue intersection to cross that. They're going to be crossing somewhere else or being on the sidewalk or something like that. At White Avenue, that's why it's been proposed to extend it there, so it's a safer crossing.
I think Roy's got a comment.
Roy? On the green pavement, that's only at the conflict zone, so not throughout the length of the bikeway.
And also, Councilman, the idea is, so if we're allowed to continue our partnership with the city of Laverne, those transition issues will be designed appropriately. We have a very similar case on the easterly boundary where it meets Mountain and Cambridge. I am also working with the city of Claremont, who has more of a traditional bidirectional bikeway on both the north and south sides, eastbound, westbound on Arrow Highway. And so our bikeway, our two-way cycle track or class 4 bike lane on the south side of Arrow that's proposed for just within the city of, for the Pomona first last mile project, will deal with that issue on the westerly limits as well. And we're currently working amongst the cities and our designers to design that safe transition from the southerly side of Arrow to then, be able to have cyclists traverse on the north side as well. So, and I think, between Ken, Cody, and Danny, I think most of the questions were answered, but one of the other points that I wanted to bring up was the fact that to respond to one of the residents' concerns about extraneous effort and reducing costs for our future median modifications that are necessary to narrow that raised median. So that raised, we have been in coordination and conversations with both Danny and Cody, and they brought up the fact that right now if you drive on that 70th of Arrow Highway between White and Lordsburg, you will see, at least in the city of Laverne segment, that there is construction ongoing right now. So what was explained to us was that Laverne received the CNRA grant, or California Natural Resources Agency's grant, to do the beautification and plantings on the raised medians. And so there was an opportunity that the city didn't want to lose. So there's timelines and schedule requirements to complete and the expenditure of those funds for Laverne's CNRA funds that Danny had secured. So the idea is so that if we are allowed to, again, coordinate our two projects together, we know that the medians will have to be reduced, and we don't want to have the city lose and the funding for that improvement on the median. So the city's thought is to proceed with construction and plant as many of the plantings onto the northerly edge of that median. So when Pomona with the city and our designer and our contractors ultimately come in later to then reduce the width of that median, we're affecting primarily the southern edge. So, and again, to address Councilman's concerns about maintaining the lane widths, the approach is to take as much of the horizontal width that we need to place the bikeway and to maintain the width of the existing travel lanes and the number of travel lanes on Arrow Highway. We would be taking most of that, if not all of it, out of the median. Should that go, and then again, we do have engineering standards that doesn't allow you to go below 10 feet. Ideally, we'd like to keep the existing 11-foot wide lanes. And then lastly, I also did hear some concerns about Caltrans and how they're working, or how they may have worked in the past with the city on the Foothill Boulevard project. So I just wanted to also add additional context. When I birthed the project, your former public works director, I was very transparent in the fact that as a primary partner with our East San Gabriel Valley cities, we don't, I was very transparent about the fact that we do not, as the COG, own the right of way. So in order for these projects to move forward and to be ultimately implemented through construction, it requires the approval of the elected officials of the respective cities that are affected. We do not have the ability to come in, design, and construct anything within any of the cities in the SGV without the permission of the council to allow us to get the construction permits to do the project. So,
And Roy, just to clarify, if the project goes all the way to white, then what you're talking about is the transitions, the signage, and all that stuff for the bikeway would be
that will also
part
be
of the
designed as
project.
well. Yes,
Yeah.
and we are cognizant. So again, thank you for this opportunity, because that is one piece that I wanted to be very transparent and clarify again that I did not cover in our presentation. So when I mentioned that we're not losing lane capacity, I guess if I want to be 100% transparent, it's that couple of 100 feet before and after white. If you're traveling eastbound, we do have 3 lanes in the existing on Arrow Highway going eastbound, and it transitions shortly after you cross white, and several hundred feet, then it tapers back right before Lordsburg into 2 lanes. So I think one of the design alternatives that we're looking at is potentially on the eastbound Arrow Highway to take that right furthermost curbside lane and convert that to a right turn only lane at white. Would give you a safe right turn only dedicated lane for vehicles traveling eastbound to turn right and southbound on Arrow Highway. And then we could talk about various alternatives, whether we'd like to, as a COG in the city of Pomona, prefer to take it all the way to, again, if we're going westbound or starting eastbound at White Avenue. And so we would work with our designer and Danny and Cody to design that safe transition to basically, we're going to have to eliminate that transition on the east of White Avenue on Arrow Highway and transition it more than likely approaching as you're traveling eastbound at White. So that taper, that transition, that extra wide lane that you were talking about where vehicles are then transitioning to a 2-lane segment in the city of Pomona, that would more than likely go away. Yes, in Laverne through Pomona. That would more than likely go away, but again, that's something that we will work through in the design. As as your city manager had alluded to earlier, we're only at 60%. So those are the final details that we will be working with in concert with.
So, Roy, you guys will be coming up with a couple different design scenarios,
Yes.
working with Cody and all that
Yes.
stuff, and we can look at
And we
them.
can present that back to council.
So then I would reiterate the traffic concerns, especially during those rush hour times in the mornings and in the evenings. And so, I get that could be an alternative that we, that lane ends up being just a right turn and it tapers to 2, whatever.
Yes.
But then that is going to severely congest what is already very congested during those times of the day. And that's not even on a day that we have an event at Fairplex, let alone LA 28. So I think whatever those design accommodations or alternatives might be has to explore that as well. So, I think those are going to be some big things. And I think there's a difference between driving on the street and knowing that Arrow has bad asphalt and pavement versus doing so and having to come out of those areas and driving it during those heavily traffic times, because the backup on that is incredible. And I think to Councilmember Crosby's comment as well is that, that does get further constricted when we have our police department having to direct traffic during those event times. And I understand that, at least for LA 28, the move is that it's not supposed to be a personal vehicle event. They're depending on folks to use mass transit, but I don't think you can count on that, to be quite honest. And so I think that needs to be explored and really looked at. And so I also you may have answered this already, but what is the typical width of a one-way bikeway versus what is being proposed here, which is a two-way class 4?
So I think it's
Typically 5 feet.
Yeah, 5 feet. And with the 2-foot buffer, so we're able to reduce a little bit of the buffer area because we're able to combine a two-way cycle track on one side of the street. So you would have a 2-foot buffer on a 5-foot bikeway on each side. So we're able to reduce some of that buffer, the painted buffer. But we're going to have a standard width 5-foot bikeway in each direction. So it'd be 10 feet of bikeway.
Okay, so 10 feet of bikeway on the south side of Arrow.
Yes.
So that's where I think the concern is coming in about. Right, it's a car lane.
Yes.
So again, I don't know what the timeline is. I know you'll work with our city manager. I think you've heard the direction, but I'd like to get an understanding of when this would come back to council with the information that we're asking for.
I must remind everyone, too, though, that Pomona can just tell us to pound sand. Yeah, and then we would have 850 feet of crappy road, and we would have a bike lane connecting up. And, I mean, not to be the devil's advocate, but at the end of the day...
That's usually...
Yeah, I know. Okay, there you go. Bike lanes are extremely important. I know a lot of people poo-poo them. They're putting them in anyway. This is where the funding comes from. This is how these streets are being done, is by the funding from all these different sources you see here. You got Project, you got GRP grant, you got MSP Cycle 2, Mat Cycle, you've got Metro, you've got all these contributors that are trying to get us active transportation on these stations. But it is important for our residents to be able to get around. It is a very big choke point. And so whatever you can do to bring it back to us, I think the $500 and some odd $1,000 is a great. You can keep that cost right in there, please, not to go higher. But I think the point is that we just got to make sure that it's good for everybody. As we come eastbound, westbound, it's going to change the matrix. I'm a little kind of concerned about those center median things that are messing with right now. It's like, why are you messing with this right now? Because we could actually almost do away with those and just keep a small little strip. with boulders in it, small boulders, right, Cody, and just keep it as a buffer between your east and westbound lanes. So, I mean,
And
keep that in
maximize
mind.
the
And if you can,
lane,
that gives us, I mean, beautification is great, but that's a stretch of highway that's just blow and go. You'd get on there and you go Laverne Ave, you cut off and you go straight through into Montclair. So, but I mean, you've heard our concerns, and I think that's important. But we also want to make sure that we can grab onto a deal to make it better, because it is a mess. And our next section is going to be Arrow Highway. If we can get our EIFD and get that, the next section's Arrow Highway all the way into San Dimas, all the way through every single town we go through, which would be wonderful. And that is a plan, and I know that's in the future, but especially when these funds are here. But
Yeah, I'm not looking to look a gift horse in the mouth, but at the same time, the request was, what is the direction of this council? And I think this council has heard from the residents, and the direction is clear. We want the pavement, and we want to have cost savings, but we also want to make sure that the traffic and the safety are of paramount concern when the design is happening. And so, as you've indicated, we're at a point when the design can be adjusted and adjusted however it needs to be adjusted. So let's do that. And I'd like to see what the alternatives and what the options are.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to be very cognizant of the fact that sometimes there are trade-offs, right? Sometimes there are necessary things that you have to give up for enhanced pedestrian and bicycle connectivity. So those are things that we do value and deem very important, and things that we will further look into as part of the design. And again, as your city manager alluded to earlier, Ken, thank you for that. This is not the only time I think we'll be in front of you. What we're asking for today is the approval from the city council and the mayor to be able to continue our partnership and coordination efforts to do exactly to address some of these concerns that you've spoken about today, do the design efforts, and then we will come back with the final design for you to approve, to be presented, updated, and ultimately approved.
that sound good, everyone?
Great.
Rick? Steve? I think you have the direction. So, well, thank you very much for the presentation. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Paisley, get a picture. Let's get a picture. Come on. Got to get a picture with my cog. And also with me.
What are we doing?
Come on, let's do it. Come on. All right, get up anyway.
Expected to take it out on here. It's okay.
Here. Come on. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they were asking for a motion, but we don't need a motion. It was just direction. It was discussion. Good discussion, guys.
It was a good, robust discussion.
It's kind of like building homes on the A-line station. Okay, we ready? Everybody good? If anybody needs water, there's water up here in the corner here. If anybody would like a bottle of water, please. Don't be hesitant. Right? You got it. You know where it is, Rick. I got one little sip. No vodka, Rick, just water. We wait for Ken. He's, why doesn't he have a little more coffee? Oh, you did? Ready? Let's go. Our second discussion item is approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne Police Officers Association and authorizing execution by the City Manager. City Manager Domer, we will call our Assistant City Manager, JR, to report on this item.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. The MOU with the Laverne Police Officers Association expired on June 30th of 2025. Staff and association representatives have been meeting since December of 2024 on a successor agreement. Based on City Council support of the terms, a tentative agreement has been reached, and staff is now seeking formal approval from City Council to finalize the MOU. A primary component of the agreement is an enhanced education incentive program, which expands compensation opportunities for officers who obtain advanced academic degrees and post-certifications. This revised approach underscores the city's commitment to maintaining a highly educated and professional trained police force by recognizing and rewarding personal investment in education and advanced training. To further support recruitment and retention efforts, the proposed MOU also introduces longevity recognition for LVPOA members, with annual compensation ranging from $1,200 to $3,600 based on years of service. The agreement also includes increased employee cost sharing towards retirement benefits. LVPOA members will contribute an additional 1% toward CalPERS retirement benefits effective July of 2026, followed by an additional 1% increase effective July of 2027. There's also being addressed the corporal program, which had defined half, basically 50% component of every new officer hired. There also needed to be a corporal promotion, and that's been addressed in the negotiation process to add better operational flexibility for the chief during budget. And then with that action also, we're adding an additional police officer position with the July 2026 budget. Overall, the proposed MOU reflects a balanced and collaborative approach that prioritizes officer education, recognizes long-term service, addresses recruitment and retention challenges, and emphasizes employee participation and retirement cost sharing. Approval of the MOU will allow the city to remain competitive in attracting and retaining qualified police officers while responsibly managing compensation and benefit costs. Compensation increases resulting from the proposed MOU are supported by a transfer of Measure LV revenues into the general fund. Due to the extended negotiations, the association remained compensated based on the prior MOU, and therefore the 3 annualized cost results in a reduction of less than half of the current year. The estimated cost for the remainder of the 25-26 fiscal year is $156,975 within the general fund. The full incremental cost is estimated at $306,980 in year one, with additional incremental costs of $190,634 in year two and $180,735 in year three. When compounded over the 3-year term, starting with the first full pay period after the effective date, the total estimated increase attributable to the MOU is roughly $1.3 million. Appropriation requests for 25-26 will be requested with the full-time salary chart item, and future years' amounts will be incorporated during the regular budget process. The recommendation is that the City Council approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne Police Officers Association and authorize the City Manager to execute the memorandum of understanding with the Laverne Police Officers Association. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, JR. Do we have any questions for JR? We're going to go ahead and open up public comment. We have public comment on this item. Mr. McKinley, come on up.
That's our Major McKinley.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. My name's Andrew McKinley. I'm the president of the Laverne Police Officers Association. Tonight, you're being asked to vote on a contract that has been a long coming. Our members have been working without a contract for the past 7 months. During that time, we've continued to show up every day, serve this community professionally, and meet the expectations placed upon them, despite uncertainty and frustration. This process has not been easy. It's been lengthy and at times difficult and required compromise on all sides. This agreement is not perfect. It's not the best deal that we could imagine, but it's a fair deal and it represents progress. Most importantly, it reflects a genuine effort by both parties to move forward in good faith. Our membership understands the realities facing the city, just as we hope the council understands the sacrifices and dedication our officers make. This agreement provides stability, recognizes the work being done, and allows us to turn the page after months of negotiations. Approving this contract is not just about numbers on paper, it's about restoring certainty, rebuilding trust, and allowing our officers in the city to focus on our citizens. On behalf of the Laverne Police Officers Association, I want to thank everyone involved in getting us to this point. We respectfully ask for your support in approving this agreement tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, very much. Any other public comment on this item? We'll go ahead and close public comment, bring up the dais. Do we have any comments before we?
Yeah, I just want to thank the city staff and the association for working together. I know about 2 months ago, the mayor and I had the privilege to sit down with the association to hear concerns and then address that to our city leadership, and they can come and find some mutual ground. And I really appreciate the hard work that the association's been doing with their members and working alongside with the city to get to this place where we have an agreement in front of us to vote on.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. I'll reiterate on that. This is the first time being on council that we have been so involved with negotiations on such a delicate matter of, public safety for our residents, plus public safety for our own public safety employees. And I will say that we've learned a lot. Yes, it wasn't the easiest thing in the whole world, but at the end of the day, we value our police officers. We also value our staff. I think it was a very good negotiation. I think that it involved a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's good for the officers. It's good for the city. It's something that I'm proud of. I really thank Andrew McKinley and also Alan Weinrob and also some of the other association members for meeting with us. But it really took just a real hard look at how we're doing, what our city's finances are. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is public safety and the safety of our residents. And I just appreciate all the input. Like I say, first time ever that I've ever experienced this, and I think we'll be doing this more and more, is to really know that everything we're putting out there is the truth. Everything that we're doing together is upfront, and there's no secrets. Everything's an open book in the city, and I think that's the most important thing. And again, thank you, Andrew, and thank you to Alan and your association. And I think it's a great day. We move on and nice 3-year contract and make sure that things go well. With that, do I have a motion to approve memorandum? I can't even say it now. Memorandum of Understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne Police Officers Association. Authorize the city manager to execute the Memorandum of Understanding with the Laverne Police Officers Association.
I'll move.
Second.
I'll second that with full trust and faith, Sergeant Major.
Vote, please.
That item, motion by Lau, seconded by Cashel-Fagita, and approved 5-0.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, staff. Great job. Thank you. With that, our final discussion item is resolution adopting a salary chart for full-time employees. City Manager Domer, please call forward, or please have that person that's going to, that would be JR, our Assistant City Manager, JR, report on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. The recommended action includes adoption of a revised salary chart for full-time employees to reflect increased base salaries for applicable Laverne Police Officers Association classifications resulting from recently concluded labor negotiations. The action also includes updating the full-time ambulance operator salary range, which is tied to state hourly minimum wage. Council may have noticed on the consent calendar that we also approved a part-time salary chart that was because of minimum wage changes in the state. And to be compliant with that, we also have a full-time equivalent ambulance operator position that's based on minimum wage. That will be adjusted in the full-time salary chart. And lastly, the city manager position per his amended and restated employment agreement approved by the City Council on January 21st, 2025, was due for a cost of living adjustment of 2% effective July 2025, consistent with adjustments provided to other executive and middle management employees. Due to the ongoing negotiations with represented employee groups at that time, the city manager elected to delay implementation of the increase until negotiations were completed. With the conclusion of the negotiations process for POA, the revised full-time salary chart now reflects the previously approved 2% salary increase for the city manager as directed by the City Council. The recommended action will require an appropriation of $170,710 within the general fund and a corresponding appropriation for a transfer in the same amount from Measure LV to the general fund within the 25-26 adopted budget. The recommendation is that the City Council adopt the resolution titled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laverne, California, adopting a salary chart for full-time employees." and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, JR. Any questions before I go to public comment? We're going to open up public comment. Mr. Bowen.
Evening again, council. I've kind of learned city speak. Does this, okay, so these are some negotiated raises, but are these also the COLA raises that people get? And you don't consider the COLA increases raises, because then later on they get negotiated raises based on contracts. So it's kind of twofold, if I remember right. A COLA, I think 2.7, 2.8, whatever it was this year, and then negotiated raises in addition to that. At least that's how it's been explained before. And I wasn't here earlier, or in the audit demands, but I did notice one thing because I read through it. The minimum wage went from $16.50 to $16.90 or whatever, but in the salaries or the hourly, people that were making $21 or $22 also got increases. So I'm kind of wondering if the raises or earlier were based on the new minimum wage, but you already made $21 or $22, which was $5 or $6 over the minimum wage. Why do you get an increase based on a minimum wage that is $5 or $6 less?
Thank you, Mr.
Maybe
Bowen.
you can answer that.
Any other comments on this item? We'll go ahead and close public comment, and we'll bring it up to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take a
Or the
first shot.
assistant city manager.
I'll take a first shot at that, and then Ken can fill in. So to answer the first questions, I think what Mr. Bowen's referring to is we used to do a median adjustment practice. We've gone away from that, so there's not a COLA and then a separate negotiated increase. It's just what's negotiated in the MOUs for those full-time equivalent positions, except for those that are in the minimum wage. And I guess that's a good segue to answer the second part of that question, is that there are sometimes three classifications in one tree, if you will, employment tree, where the first tier is based on minimum wage, and then they could get promoted to like a grade 2 type position that's also based on minimum wage, and then eventually to a 3. And we even have in recreation all the way up to a 4, like a recreation specialist type of position that goes all the way to step 4. But it starts at 1 that's based on minimum wage, and it's just basically a compaction issue. So yes, there were some positions that are over the $16.90 an hour, but they're tied to minimum wage at the lower or entry-level classification. And so that's where you would have seen some of those $20 ones. But if you look at the part-time schedule that we included, there's lots of positions that weren't increased. That's because they're tied to other full-time positions that are represented and only get increases when those are negotiated unless they're under the minimum wage, and then we adjust those to be in compliance with the law.
Don't answer the question. The other one was that Mr. Bonin stated. So if a person was already at the higher level that was beyond any increase, that would, let's say they're at the $25 range, would they also get the cost of living, not the cost of living, but the increase on minimum?
Only if they're part of the tree that's tied to minimum wage.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, on the other one, I think there's some language issues or semantics. So, yeah, we do not look at a median and then a COLA. So what we negotiate, we consider a cost of living. So Mr. Bowen stated like the COLA was 2.7 or 2.8. That may have been what is the CPI or, considered a typical COLA for, say, Social Security or something like that. But with this 3% COLA, that is what we negotiated. So it's only one increase. It's not a COLA based on something else and then a negotiated increase. It's just one.
But the minimum wage at the lower rate, the minimum wage would increase. And you say, as you go down the chart, those would increase also. If you increased yourself to a different level, you would get that increase like step 3 or step 4, whatever the 50 cents or 45 cents or whatever it was.
Yeah, because the steps are always a certain percentage away from each other. So if you increase the lower one, the 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 2, 3, 4 go up.
Have any questions for staff? Anybody?
Just a comment. Sorry. The comment of where Mr. Domer did not take a raise when his ability was. I felt that is leadership and honorable because other members of the city were not. And so I think it's very appropriate for him to get that. Now, he's not going back and getting back pay that he missed out there. It's just bringing to the level there. And not chump change that he lost out as well, but as a leader when they're going through negotiations and him to take a raise at that time, he saw that it's not good looking that he does and someone else wouldn't get it. So I really appreciate his leadership during this time and admire his ethic values on that as well, because I know there are other leaders in other cities that would not have done that at all. So appreciate that.
Considering we're looking at about a $31,000 just roughly that he missed out on. And that was, you took my thunder, but that's a good point. Thank you. It does look like leadership that the person at the top's going, I'm not going to do anything until my team is settled, and at that point we move forward. And I do appreciate that. And you did, that's a chunk of dough. Appreciate that. It just shows I didn't. We're cutting all these. Well, Channel 3's on. They'll watch it again. Thank you, Mr. Domer. We do appreciate that. With that, do I have a motion to adopt the resolution titled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laverne, California, adopting a salary chart for full-time employees"?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Vote, please.
Item was moved by Johnson, seconded by Cashel Fagita, and approved 5-0.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ken. With that, there's no other business tonight, so we move on to public comments. This is the time set aside for anyone wishing to address the City Council on items not listed on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Brown Act prohibits the City Council from engaging in discussion on any item not on the posted agenda. Your concerns may be referred to staff or placed for discussion at a later date. At this time, those wishing to speak can come to the podium. Raymond, come on up. Oh, thank you. Oh.
Good evening, Council. Mr. Domer, Mr. Reynolds. When we make complaints, you always hear that the city doesn't respond. People don't respond to it. But I can tell you, this city responds. I made a comment at I believe the last meeting that I had not received a notice about when my water bill was due. It was like 2 or 3 days later, I got a response from Mr. Domer saying he was looking into it and take care of it. I got my electronic notification on the day the bill was done. And I want to thank you, sir.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Swain.
Mayor, council.
Just trying to liven this place up, man.
Being very formal. I understand.
Oh, Cash, there's someone outside that wants to talk to you.
Really? Plenty of my best.
Okay, so I have just 3 very quick points. One, Andrea talked first about the Laverne Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan meeting that's coming up to explain the program to all of our residents. Just so everybody knows, there's 15 companies, organizations, individuals on this oversight committee that have been working on this for the last 9 months or so. And it's one of those things that, as Danita talked about with the strategic plan, when only 2 or 3 people showing up for that, this stuff is as dry as dirt when you talk about the hazard mitigation plan. But it affects all of us with regard to our plans for if there's a fire, earthquakes, floods, whatever. So just encouraging residents to come out and get involved. And at least this is going to be online, but if you can come to the meeting, you'll be able to hear a brief presentation on it and understand what the plans are, how they're developing. So that's number one. Number two, in December, we talked about the rehab that was going on Golden Hills and that area up there. And I want to say that noticed driving this past week that the very dangerous intersection of Golden Hills and Marshall Canyon now has a stop sign with the flashing lights on it. And I had asked, brought that up.
That was his suggestion.
Yeah, I brought that up
Great
with
idea.
Cash and brought that up with Cody. December.
Director Wu was instrumental in
Yes,
that. He
yes.
got a real good deal on those, too. So.
And it all got done. And I'm hoping that, we actually see people obey
Stopping?
and stop at that stop sign.
It would be nice, wouldn't it, Raymond?
So that's a good thing. And then number three, also from December, one of the discussions came up for further review was, and this was, I believe, for Mr. Domer, is a follow-up on where are we in looking at potentials for cell towers for North Laverne. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Raymond, very much. Very best.
All right, I know we're all tired. I'm going to try to keep my comments to under 3 minutes. On December 13th, I participated in the downtown holiday stroll with the inclusion of the International Truck, which was parked next to Monero Square and functioned as a platform for the University of Laverne chamber singers who entertained us as they raised funds to support their anticipated attendance at a musical festival this summer in Germany. It was all very festive. I also celebrated with other attendees as we watched 10 Laverne citizens receive a Walk of Honor award, the first of its kind in the city. Hoping for images to support our January newsletter, I invited Laverne Historical Society Treasurer Marv Weston to take photos of this event. I am so glad I did, because there was a significant missing element that day, the presence of Laverne TV to record and memorialize this event. If you are a member of the Laverne Historical Society and read my recent President's Message in our January newsletter, you know that the loss of LVTV is huge for several reasons. First, LVTV provided a permanent product in the form of high-quality videos that were professionally edited and which record our history for all the community to enjoy, not just people with their cameras. If you are not an LVHS member, but were not able to attend a recorded presentation, you could tune in to Channel 3. This is no longer possible. Second, lacking a permanent bricks and mortar museum house is supported by the LVTV to preserve community history, because we don't have a place otherwise to promote our message. So LVT is very helpful for that. Third, LVTV employs students to learn the craft in live situations. Losing this collaborative link weakens the relationship between the university and the city at a time when we need to strengthen our community ties. Fourth, I understand that San Dimas has maintained their contact with the University of Laverne's TV station, but Laverne is not. I assume this is a budget issue. I'm not positive. In the excellent article recently posted in the Laverne Daily News, I understand that PEG, Public Education and Government Funding, has declined due to a reduction in these fees that were collected from cable providers. The city's employment of Swagat, a third-party vendor that broadcasts city council meetings, was identified as costing $22,000 a year. What I do not understand is the connection between the funds for services from Swagat and PEG funding for LVTV. How does the cost to the city to employ Swagat encroach on the cost to the city to fund LVTV? Do they both come from PEG funding? If not, noting costs generated by Swagat in that they both come from, and do they both come from PEG funding? I'm confused in that situation. Finally, the article went on to state, the article in Laverne Daily News, to state that limited PEG funding should be used, or it was identified that they should be used to support digital platforms such as the city website, as well as broadcasting commission and committee meetings. Certainly that is commendable, but these platforms and suggestions would solely serve city functioning and do not necessarily provide programming with broad community appeal. Who will record and preserve events such as the 4th of July, the Excellent Adventure, youth sports, Christmas tree lighting, and all special events sponsored by the Historical Society, including all speakers at our member and community meetings, our cemetery tours, and the 100-year anniversary celebration of the wedding of Mr. Laverne and Miss Lordsburg, which was recommended that we perform by a member of the city. Who will record the upcoming State of the City address by Mayor Hepburn? I hope it will be recorded. What I'm suggesting here is that these permanent products created by the Laverne Historical Society creates and cements community cohesion. And we seem to be losing that. And I'm worried about that. Let's not narrow our focus, and let's instead find a creative way to retain Laverne TV to continue to produce quality permanent products of our city's history. I'm optimistic that this can happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Barbara Smythe.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Barbara Smythe, and I've lived at Hillcrest Retirement Community for almost 19 years. Very strange since I'm so young. But I agree with Gary Best about the Channel 3 TV. I turned it on. I was very disappointed, stunned that it was not there anymore. And I just want to speak to you from an elder's point of view, from which I'm terribly qualified to do. I believe that Channel 3 TV is a way of connecting with community. It's a way of building community. And for my group, it's a way that we can see the kids' games. We can see the kids' performances over at the Performing Arts. We can see the activities that go on so well planned by the city when we can't go. I love watching the 4th of July parade, not on the street, but in my house on the TV. So please consider the elders that are somewhat technically challenged, I will admit. We are interested in the community. We want to be a part of it. We enjoy seeing all the activities that are going on. And I just think it's a serious mistake to cut that program off, because it's really beneficial. And a lot of us really enjoyed it and enjoy the opportunity for our ULV kids to learn how to do this production, because they do a great job of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Virginia Beltran.
Again, Happy New Year to everybody, Mayor, council members, as well as citizens. I have a concern, like with the parks and recreations, like Coons Park in particular. Every day, it's a struggle for people. I just live a block away, thank goodness, these days. But the bathrooms at Coons Park are always opened up late and always closed before it even gets dark. And there's a children's playground there. And I know, like, in particular for one of my grandchildren, she got a UTI because she had to hold her urine, you know, when she was taken at certain places and the restrooms were not available. You know, not everybody can run in and buy a soda or something to use a restroom at some other restaurant or something. But anyways, that's a very busy park. And on a daily basis, like I said, it's always... It's late when it's opened up, and then it's extremely early when it's closed, when there's still a lot of children who get out of school and use the playgrounds with their parents, as well as us seniors who go there to walk our dogs or whatnot. You know, and that's a big concern, not just for me, but for many other people that are also seniors and not seniors just yet. So, you know, if we can maybe work with Parks and Recreation on getting that done, that'd be great. You know, one time I left my cell phone at another park, Las Flores Park, and I didn't know that gentleman was going to lock it up around 7 o'clock. He didn't say nothing. When I realized I left it in there, not even 10 minutes later, the door was locked. I had to wait until almost noon the next day, and I had a granddaughter who was due to have a child, and it was hard for me, you know, anticipating getting that call, not being able to, because I had to wait until they opened the door. It was my mistake, but yet, you know, they dragged it on getting it back to having that door open so I could get my cell phone back. So, like I said, so long as there's like decent hours, you know, thank goodness we don't have the problems that like a lot of Pomona, you know, there's a lot of drug activity that goes on in there and other safety concerns. But like I said, I'll be very, very, I'm voicing for several people that I know who are also affected by the late opening of the bathroom and the early closing of it. So if we can get that worked out, that'd be great. Okay? Yeah, should I wait until the second one, or should I address that one?
No, go ahead.
Okay, public safety. Okay, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who drive, like, say, on Wheeler, in between Bonita and Foothill. They drive like they're on the freeway. Maybe if we could put one of those, your speed limit, you know, slow down, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks ago, I got hit by a car on Foothill and B Street, right along the wash. He looked at me, I looked at him. I saw the traffic coming, so I proceeded to walk. I had to bang on his hood to let him know I was on his bumper. No one even stopped. The 3 cars behind him didn't even ask if I needed an ambulance, which is okay. I worked it all out. But I'm concerned because there's a lot of children and that's a very close facility to senior housing. So, you know, I mean, nobody even considered to ask if I needed an ambulance. I made a police report. God willing, that won't happen to a child or another senior, and worse results. You know, worse results will come of that. But there was an accident right on Bonita today, Bonita and Park. And nobody even, my friend told me who witnessed it, they didn't even hit their brakes. It was full-on collision. So, you know, we need to start getting a lot more tickets for these people who are obviously not concerned about other people's safeties as well as their own. So
Thank you.
That's what I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on public comment? Mr. Bowen.
Council, I'll make this one real quick since this young lady brought up the bathrooms at Coons Park. I live up Wheeler, and at Mesa, the school there, we have a lot of activities. Every year there's porta potty there, about 100 feet from a huge concrete city-owned restroom. And she talked about a UTI for holding, but you're going to porta potty, you probably get worse things than that. So I'm just curious why, you know, we have these city-owned bathrooms, but we have to have a porta potty not 100 feet away. And number one, it's unsightly, but apparently that's not a factor. So it would seem that somebody could go up when they're using those fields and either unlock it or when they're done, lock it up, versus the porta potty that sits there for 3 or 4 months. Brought the same thing up last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Anyone else wish to speak on public comment? Ms. Beauchamp.
I wanted to say thank you to the council for approving the Laverne Police Department contract. It was a long time coming. I think we like to think we not take the police department for granted, but with the increase of crime, I think we realize how much we really need them. Laverne is generally a safe city. I live on Amherst, close to the Fruit Street on-ramp to the freeway, and our neighborhood has been hit with break-ins in cars, and neighbors are sharing their Ring cameras and stuff, and it isn't until you stop and think about what if we didn't have our own PD, how long would we have to wait for sheriffs? So thank you to the police department for accepting the offer that was presented. I think it was paramount. I appreciate that. I wish that we could get one of those blinking stop signs on Amherst. Maybe that would help at least slow them down, if not get them to stop. And or have a patrol officer. I know I saw the motorcycle officer not too long ago. He was over by the Lutheran church. We need him at the other end at Bowdoin and Amherst. And while he's there, maybe he can also cite the people who refuse to pick up their dog crap. Just a thought, 2 for 1. But
you could take it and throw
double
it back
duty,
on.
right?
Just take it back and throw it on the other people's yard. Remember that, Gary? God rest in peace.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
But on a serious note, I do want to thank everybody involved in that. I think that it was really important. What's funny is, on Friday, I become a senior citizen, believe it or not. I will be 55 on Friday. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Great.
But I
Even
bring
with the
that
new
up
name.
because if I'm 55, how old are my parents? My parents are retired and they're home during the day, and I worry about home invasion. It's happened in our neighborhood, unfortunately. So, the police are really important. So I just want to say thank you for that. But I also want to
pick up your dog crap. Thank you.
Please, can you do a minute with the mayor? Something? I don't know.
That's stinky. Oh wait.
It should be, but tired. I'm telling you, I'm
believe
going to
me, I
turn my
could.
camera.
I carry my bags.
I'm
going
to change the direction of my camera
hands
and
up.
start sending the videos to Ken, and he'll see how many people don't do it, and then they can just sit in my driveway and cite them.
Okay, I'll do a minute.
I'm
with the
serious.
mayor. You're going to be right next to me, though.
Yeah.
It is a problem.
It
And
is,
we
but
laugh
it's
about
also
it, but
a
it's
revenue
not.
stream, right? I mean, they say speeding tickets aren't as good as the parking tickets. Well, maybe
picking
the
up your
dog
dog's
poop
poop.
tickets will be better. I don't know, but so.
Oh, we can have a
Nice.
poop patrol.
There you go.
Oh, wait.
How about canine patrol to it? I don't know.
Okay, now
but
we're going over
anyway,
the edge.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Good to see everybody.
Glad to see you up and around.
All right,
girl.
thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else on public comment? Poop patrol. Ay, ay, ay. We're going to close public comment, bring up the dais. Councilmember Lau.
Just a couple of thank yous. Just wanted to reiterate thank you to all the folks that volunteered, whether they were staff or residents, for the Christmas morning event. I know that that's only possible because of those people. So thank you, Santa Crosby, for being out there for the third, fourth, fifth, I don't know, what year,
17th.
whatever year, fifth year in a row.
Sixth. He's looking like maybe it was six.
So thank you. I also wanted to say thank you to Chief Nig for his service, and congratulations to our new Chief Coatney. Also wanted to announce that there is a Tri-City Mental Health Authority meeting that Councilmember Steve Johnson is going to cover for me, since I will be out of town. And I also wanted to say thank you to the applicants that did apply from the city of Laverne. I think we had 6 in total, which is really great. To see that much interest in this position. So thank you to all those who applied. I also wanted to say thank you to the police department and to Public Works. We had a resident who complained about some illegal dumping that was happening on one of the streets over by the university, which was making it unsightly for the residents who live in that area. And so thank you to the police department for working with the university to get cameras up and signage up, so that hopefully we can make sure that that is not continuing to happen. And then just as another reminder, just to kind of bookend Danita's comments earlier, the strategic planning meeting is on February 7th. It is the day before Super Bowl, so you can plan and then party the next day.
And then party. And pick up your poop.
And pick up your poop.
Plan
But
party poop.
you know, we do welcome folks' comments, and we want to hear from people. So it is an all-day event. I don't know if the agenda will be publicized or how we're going to, so people can see it. But maybe if you don't want to spend 8 hours on your Saturday with us, maybe pick the agenda item time that is most pertinent to you, that would is important to you, and look at coming during that time. So, and that's all. But have a great week. Be kind, and see you on February 2nd.
Slow down.
Yes. Slow down.
Councilmember Crosby.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Councilmember Johnson.
Ditto? Or?
Ditto?
He's like, I gotta go.
He's dying over there.
I'm like, don't make me die.
Oh, sorry for having to wear a mask earlier, and
Killing us all. It's okay.
I've got a cold.
We're all going to die.
I'm ready to go home.
Mayor Pro Tem Cash.
Nice
Nice tie, by the way.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate
You're
it. I'm
welcome.
making a
Have a
lot of
nice day.
compliments on this tie. Looking good. I want to
3
thank
minutes.
3 minutes. Hit me with that time. I want to thank our Public Works for making an amazing opportunity for our community during Christmas time that we had. All those different events. I want to thank you guys tremendously. Parks and Rec, you guys rock. All right, thank you. Public Works, thanks, Danny. Appreciate you guys for what you guys do, for all the signage that's out there. It's my big push for public safety. If there's visibility, at least it's something. Deterred something. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you. And we had a lot of those neighborhood watch signs are kind of faded out there, and we've been going out there kind of replacing it. Had a lot of people in the community tell me, "Hey, looking forward to get those changed." And it's again back to visibility. God bless each and every single one of you, and I hope this new year in 2026 brings you continued health, because we can buy anything else, you just can't buy your health. So look forward to continue serving God, serving you, and I appreciate my colleagues for the last few years. This is we just finished Christmas time with parade event. Now we're going to look at 4th of July coming up soon. Hey, time flies when you're having fun. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Cash. It is an honor and a pleasure to work with all of you guys, the city staff, and all the residents, too. We have a great community here. We listen. We try to do things we possibly can. We do listen to everyone. Thank you all. Thank you to all our staff. POA, we got you done. We're done. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let the membership know that we're very happy and proud, and it went well. With that, our next city council meeting is on February 2nd at 5:30 p.m., at 6:30 p.m. As a reminder, upcoming events and meetings are posted on the last page of the city council agenda, except for the one which is the wrong date. Make sure you check that. What was the dance? Was the dance? LIFAC. Anyway, everybody have a great week. Thank you all. We are adjourned at 9:48 p.m.